All right. All right. All right. All right. All right. What is good? What is Gucci? What is happening? I'm not gonna lie. Out of every song I could have picked for the BRB screen, I had to pick this song. Like at first, I'm like, oh, okay, this is fun. This is cool. Yeah. Then after like the third or fourth time, I'm like, yo, all right. I should have swapped it. Okay. Let me see if I can pull up my little tier list here. And we can go back and I guess just chill and watch this Shortcat video. I gotta go all the way back up here and find it. Just kidding, it's only right here. Boom, boom, boop, 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 boop. Not my list, never mind. Yeah, here it is. Okay. Is it better for me to just download it? All right, we got the list here. Okay. Okay, well, yeah, we should be good. Okay, perfect. Minimize this. All right, let's cut off this music. That music is driving me nuts. All right, Mr. Shortcuts. I think we were like 30 minutes in or something like that. So let me see if we can find out. Cut this off. We don't need that. I could pull up my video or my tier list really fast. So I like to just compare where his list is compared to mine. So I feel like that would be very exciting. Ooh, I hate it when that happens. Why does that happen? Where all my stuff minimized. Okay. Is this big enough? Okay, maybe this is big enough. All right, perfect.
Card 8 Deluxe.
And maybe we can watch it like this so I can actually pull up my tier list here. Pog. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and go back to where we where did we left off at? I want to say it was like 30 minutes in. Yoshi's Valley. Okay, I remember seeing Yoshi's Valley. I remember seeing Rainbow Road. Baby Park, yeah. Baby Park. Bell. Okay, I think we left off at Bell. Okay, yeah, definitely we left off right here. This is where we left off at. So let's go ahead, play halfway through Bell here. And then, hold on, I feel like my camera is like super far away. Am I far away? Is that better? Okay. All right. All right, Mr. Shortcat. Well, we're ranking all 96 tracks in Mario Kart Deluxe. And we are here with the... I think... I don't know what number we're on right now, but we are... I want to say like maybe like 15, 16 tracks in now. So let's go ahead and figure that out. I could leave that right here. It'd probably be easier for me to drag over.
To be accurate to drive this track well, there are lots of sharp turns and shortcuts and alternate paths. Now, the only reason this track isn't higher for me is because the entire underground section kind of blends together, and I really think they could have used the train concept to give us more different spaces to race in, including potentially an outdoor train track above the ground for part of it. So Super Bell Subway is definitely good, but it's not that amazing. Sherbet Land.
Just real quick, where did I put Super Bell? I think I put Super Bell in a very high position here. Just double checking from where we left off at. Super Bell, Super Bell, Super Bell. Where did I put Super Bell? Yeah, I put Super Bell here and the goated tracks here. So yeah, I like it. I like it.
Land has
overall
great
at
music,
least
a great theme, and several memorable sounds.
Dude, the music here slaps. I always been a big fan of freaking Sherbet Land, especially from Mario Kart 8, or sorry, Mario Kart Double Dash. Banger track. The track itself is like okay, but I am very biased over the ice. Like I like ice levels because they have like some of the best like soundtracks, most memorable soundtracks. And yeah, that's pretty much it. It's just carried by the music. But other than that, it's a vibe. I like it.
Sections. I really appreciate that they made the change so that now.
Okay. Also, before we hop into this one, so where I ranked, at least back in a day, I put in the bias section. Yeah, like I said, I'm just biased to it. I don't think it's like that great of a track, but overall, my experiences with it, one, I always do really well on it, and two, yeah.
Underwater sections are drivable on this track, where it used to be out of bounds originally, and these routes are actually useful. The first underwater section isn't great, but it does get you coins, so there is still a use to it, and the second underwater section is actually faster if you fall into the...
So, I actually didn't know this about, like, which way was, like, technically faster. Even though I feel like there is a shortcut on the ice portion of this part. I actually might if I start in the back, if I'm front running, then I'll just take the L and just keep staying in the front. But if I'm in the back, I high key might bag a little bit and just go into the water and grab coins. I feel like that's like a strat.
The water while charging an orange mini turbo, and I just want to say it's fall into the water.
Wait.
And
that actually might be smart.
The underwater section is actually faster if you fall into the water while charging an orange mini turbo. And I just want to say it's great that we actually get a bit of water physics helping to make driving faster. So far, none of the tracks I've talked about really benefit from having water physics, and at least there's just like a crumb on this track. However, I do think that the final section as a whole is a bit strange, as it's always faster to stay on the right side, no matter if you take the top or bottom route. Strange, as
Wait, really? Hold up.
However, I do think that the final section as a whole is a bit strange, as it's always faster to stay on the right side, no matter if you take the top or bottom route, and the left side even has a hidden glider cut, but it's not a shortcut. It's a long cut. For such a big...
I'm glad he went over that, because that is so sad that that is a long cut there, because I always wonder, was that like ever faster or not? And I'm glad he answered that question. So I guess whenever I go back and play Mario Kart 8 Deluxe on Sherbet Land, I'll try to see if I can get an orange turbo into the water. And yeah, go fast. I actually am glad he debunked that, because I was never sure which way was faster. And even if you do go on the top of the ice, you just stick to the right, not to the left.
Open space. They really could have put more coins, items, or boost panels on the left side, but instead the coins are just on the right side, so there's no reason really to go on the left.
That is also fair.
I also think this huge shortcut at the final item set would have been really fun, but it's really inconsistent. You can easily get an insane amount of air and just fly to the other side.
Yeah.
This is where
I do know about
think
that.
Merry Mountain definitely did it better, where the shortcut is shaped similarly, but it has sticky road so that you don't fly into the air.
Yeah. It's good though. He put it in good. Not good. Okay. Honestly, I was really expecting him to probably rank this particular level a little bit like lower. That's fair.
Finally, a city track that I really like. Vancouver Velocity features frequent changes.
Like, okay. I already see where this track is already, and it's here. Bro, goated. Like, literally the first goated track. And I'm surprised it's not almost in bias. I guess I couldn't just stick everything in bias. But if I had to pick a really good tour track that I like, is like super solid, super good, Vancouver is like there. One, I love the aesthetics, music, just everything about the levels is fantastic. Very good.
And scenery from road to bridges to road to a dock to a bridge to road to a hockey stadium to road to the same hockey stadium to road. Okay, it's not doing the best job of it, and it's weird that we enter the hockey stadium twice. But overall, each section feels memorable, and there are plenty of shortcuts.
Whoa,
too.
hold up.
But overall, each section feels
Hold
memorable.
up. What was that shortcut? I didn't even know about
And
that.
there are
And you have to clear this like this hedge, because if you don't clear it, you just bunk. That's a really good. I'm pretty sure it's not attended by Nintendo. Maybe, I don't know, but that's really cool.
plenty of shortcuts too.
Yeah.
Which is not the case for many other city tracks.
Yeah.
A lot of this track is interesting, and the only section I'd say is not great is the super long straight section on lap 3. But unlike other city tracks, when it comes to the turns, it's really not just a road between two walls. I mean, it technically is sometimes, but at least it's designed to.
Wow. Okay, so that's the third lap shortcut. Maybe you can also take this lap or this shortcut on lap 2. I'm not exactly sure.
Look like a bridge instead of whatever this is on Tokyo Blur. And the design really helps to make this track feel more fresh. Just because two tracks functionally have the same section, just having it look like a bridge, putting spin boosters, and making it slightly slanted actually makes this track feel a lot better to drive. I don't need every track to be revolutionary in every single section of it. The least they could do is make it memorable and look nice.
I can't complain about that. Yo, cool. He put Singapore really next to where did I put it? Singapore has to be biased. Yeah, right here. Yeah, this level is amazing. I think this is my favorite tour track out of every tour level. Easy. So good.
I like Singapore Speedway pretty much for the same reasons as Vancouver Velocity. There's nothing revolutionary going on, but at least it's really nice to look at.
It is.
Each section is actually memorable. The music is also incredible, and I love how it picks up around the time you reach the cannon glider to show how fast-paced.
Yeah, I always notice that too. Every time the music does pick up and you're getting to this section, I'm like, whoa, look at the buildings and the amusement park and stuff, and you get on this really cool section where you're literally on buildings, but you know what I'm saying? It's really cool. I do like it a lot. They did it so well.
This track will feel. I never had an issue memorizing the layout on Singapore, as the only time that it really suffers from being an awkward road between two walls, that section is short, and you actually get to see the whole thing at once. So if you crash into a wall, that's just a skill issue. The final glider on this track is also the perfect use of a glider. A lot of the times, gliders are kind of boring because you don't get to do much like drifting on it, but gliders give you a lot of freedom and they allow you to see a lot more of the track. So on Singapore, you really get to take in this amazing view, and you can use the freedom of glider movement to take several different paths. The fastest way to drive is to take the extra trick boost before getting to the...
Yo, what's good, Cam? What do you miss? You miss... Super Bell Subway is where we left off before. But I kind of went halfway through it. You missed Sherbertland, Vancouver, and now we're on Singapore. So you didn't really miss too much. You missed 3 levels, but that's where we're at.
Ring boosters. Then you can just fly to the end, or you can descend down.
Yeah, not much at all.
Or you can.
I also compared like some of the levels just to kind of give you kind of recap where I put the levels that he went over before. I'm a big bias on, well, not bias, but I put Super Bell here, which is in my goated track section. He put it in like good, not like super crazy or anything. I think this level is really, really cool for multiple reasons. And then Vancouver up here, like, it's just a solid track overall, bro. Like, the music is good, the atmosphere, the environment, aesthetics, the way it looks. It's not like super, like it doesn't do anything special, but it looks good while doing it. So I put that in like in pride. Like, if you're gonna do like some of the same turns and twists, if you're gonna make it like look better, like say for example, remember when you play on this level and you're on that twisted bridge, it's very similar to I forget what level. It's another tour track that has like a similar like layout. I think it's what level is it? It's a track I put lower on this list. Oh, Tokyo Blur, like the very very last section. But on a twisted bridge at night, this looks better, right? It's similar, but it's like it just made it look so cool. Like I like it, so that's why it's like way up here. I'm doing fantastic. Hope you're doing well. I took a nap and I wanted to rest up a little bit before I went live. So, but other than that, I didn't really do much today, man. I worked, ate Chick-fil-A, took a nap, and then streamed. Literally all I did today. I had to be at work again at 5 o'clock in the morning, so that's kind of why I had to take a nap, because it was just no way. Ain't no way. And of course, Singapore. Come on, man. Like, let's just be real. Let's be realistic here. Singapore, go to track. Like, there's nothing you need to talk about. If you think Singapore is bad, like, you're probably just get banned in the chat. Let's just be real. It's such a banger track. It's my favorite tour track of like Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. So good. But anyway.
And take the path on the left from much earlier. I mean, I've never taken the path on the left.
Me either.
But I can sleep better at night knowing that it's there if I ever really need it.
Oh, one thing I did learn in this level, I'll just backtrack and we'll bring it back up. I didn't know there was a shortcut here.
Of it. Drive. Function
on
really
this level
helps to make instead of whatever this is. Long straight section on lap 3. Only section I face for many other city tracks. A lot of this track is interesting, and the only
hopefully it
section
shows
I'd
it off
say
here
is not great is the super long straight section.
Yeah,
on
he'll
lap
show it
3.
off here, I'm sure.
But unlike other city tracks, when it comes to the turns, it's really not just a road between two walls. I mean, it technically is sometimes, but
that right here, I didn't even know this was a shortcut. Like, I always thought this was like off-road. Again, I don't know if this is like intentional from Nintendo, because like, again, if you do not clear these bushes, which gives the shortcut a little bit of difficulty, you can like cut all this off, which is really big. Like, look at that. Look how much, like, this is like almost like a second and a half right here. Like, it's so big. So yeah, that's one thing I learned about this. So not only that we're learning Shortcat's opinions on stuff, I'm actually learning. Fantastic.
At least it's designed to look like a bridge instead of whatever. Amsterdam never
back it up.
This amazing.
Okay.
And the fastest way to drive is to take the extra trick boost before getting to the ring boosters. Then you can just fly to the end, or you can descend down for an item, or you can take the path on the left from much earlier. I mean, I've never taken the path on the left, but I can sleep better at night knowing that it's there if I ever really need it. Thanks, Nintendo.
Yeah, man. Thanks.
Amsterdam Drift is another city track that really doesn't feel like a city track. I'm so glad we actually get out of the main city a few times here. Staying in the city for 3 laps just adds confusion.
Oh, I forgot. Where am I placing this track? I'm so like vibing right now. Is this London Loop or is this Berlin? This is Berlin Byways, right? Amsterdam Drift. All right, I just didn't know. Amsterdam. I think I placed this one a little low, and I think I might have been a little harsh on this level. It's not that bad, but I don't think I was a big fan of this level. because I think the music is like not that great to me. And there's some other stuff about it too. Yeah, actually, no, it's good enough. Yeah, I'll put it in good enough. I think that's fair. That's fair. That's fair. Yeah, right. Because this game, well, we never know. Because Mario Kart World might suck. So I feel like if it sucks hard enough, there's gonna be people still on Mario Kart Deluxe. But if the game is like fantastic, which I feel like it will be. Yeah, this does sucks. So I mean, we'll play a couple of rounds of Mario Kart before it, quote unquote, dies. But we'll see.
And makes you see the same things 3 different times. But Amsterdam has several different sections.
Now this section right here is peak. I love this section so much, man. There's so many like hidden paths. Like every time I take it, like, oh my god, you can hop on this boat here. Or like it's just such a cool section. I like it so much.
Including an underwater
so
section
good.
where you can pop up to the top, and because of this, the whole track is memorable.
Yes.
However, I will say that the underwater section is a bit dull and awkward to drive, but once you learn what to do and get used to it, it is pretty alright. Lap 1, Lap 2, and Lap 3
I like it a lot.
all feel very, very different, and that's part of what makes this track so much more memorable than a lot of other city tracks. And I wish this was more practical than it is, but on both 150cc and 200cc, there is a gap jump shortcut that you can...
Oh my god! What was that? That was crazy.
And
huh?
200cc, there is a gap jump shortcut.
Did he say 150cc too? Hold on. You can do some 150.
So much more memorable than a lot of other city tracks. And I wish this was more practical than it is, but on both 150cc and 200cc...
Bro, you can do this on 150? Yo, we gotta learn that. What?
There is a gap jump shortcut that you can do on lap 1. I'm not an expert on this, so I don't know how practical or useful it is on 200cc, but I'm pretty sure you need 2 mushrooms to take it properly on 150cc. And it's so early in the race, and there's no way you're getting triple mushrooms from the first item set unless you're somehow so far behind that this shortcut is not going to help you catch up anyway. I just wish they put this on lap 2 or 3, and that's all it would take for me to like this track way better.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, obviously that's not intended, but yeah, okay. Yeah, you're right. It's not useful at all. Dang, that sucks. All right, I stand by my placement then. I stand by my placement. It's good enough.
Music Park should have been called Melody Motorway.
Melody Motorway? No, Music Park is peak. Stop.
That's what it's called in the UK, but my...
Oh, okay, so translation. Got it.
Game says Music Park, and that's just disappointing. The track concept is great, with the musical instruments everywhere.
Yeah,
you can hear the piano keys as you drive over them. You can take a shortcut on this key. The drums act as a bounce pad, and the music notes hit the ground and let you trick off of it. There's just so many...
Okay, so before we finish that, I forgot to show you where I put this. Music Park, very good. I always like this track. I always do very well. I feel like I'm very biased on some of my tracks because whenever I play online, and you know when I get Mario Karted, there's like some courses where I just don't. And Music Park is one of them, right? And I like how you can take like this little drum shortcut, which I'm sure he's going to talk about. But that key shortcut there was pretty insane. It looks hard to do too. By the way, is the chat not staying visible for anywhere else? What you mean? You mean above, like on the overlay? You mean up here? Yeah, it usually disappears. Yeah, it typically goes away.
Fun and creative ideas all over this track. And fun fact, everything on this track is timed to the music. Well, you probably already knew that, but did you know your character's head...
By the way, the fact that Shortcat is driving this, what is this? What kind of nasty combination is this?
Also, well, you probably already knew that, but did you know your character's head also moves to the beat? Here, take a look. And if you thought that was just a coincidence, here's what it looks like with the faster music on lap 3.
That's actually so funny.
I love the theming of this track and the
That's
attention to
actually
detail,
so.
but
Why does it do that? Like, that's kind of cool. I like that a lot. Oh, that's what you mean. Oh, I mean, it's saying consistent on my end. Yeah, it could just be a Twitch thing. Maybe try to refresh and see if it does anything. Yeah, that might be a Twitch issue. Issue. Jesus.
wish
Yeah.
it was more colorful, and I wish I could
That's
hear
kind of
more
annoying, actually.
instruments in the music. It's kind of weird that Music Park's soundtrack is mostly electronic, and for it being called Music Park, it's really unfortunate that I don't like the music on this track very much.
Really? He didn't like the music on this track? I think it's cool. It's unique. It's very unique. Oh, man. Best streaming platform, by the way. By the way. Hey, I mean, it's always YouTube if you want to chill on YouTube if you're having more issues. That's kind of why I do both. So it gives people, I personally, if I were to watch a streamer, I'd rather watch on YouTube because it's just easier to watch, right? Just personally me. It's fine. Okay. All right. But if you have any issues, let me know, or if anything pops up or anything I can like help and fix, let me know. You know, I'm trying to give you guys the best experience here. You know how it is.
Riverside Park.
Okay, Riverside Park. I don't think I rated this level very high, personally. Oh, don't tell me I did. Am I crazy? Excuse me. Oh, excuse me. I'm still getting over my nap, I suppose. Wait, where did I put this track? Dude, I hate not reading or seeing what's on the thing. Right here. Okay, it's in very good. I think honestly, you might have been a person that convinced me to put it up a little bit higher because I'm sure I put it in good enough. I'm pretty sure I shouldn't have this track this high up. It's okay. It's very basic to me, bare bones, and a big ass bagging track, but it's cool.
Park is your standard GBA track with lots of huge shortcuts, and each one can be done with just one mushroom, so you can take these shortcuts in pretty much any position besides first place. The track just feels so satisfying to drive on as you're pretty much always drifting, and the music and lighting really match it well. I would say this track creates a vibe that is not really seen on any other track. I also like the unique enemies that can drop mushrooms. Now, at most levels of play, I think Riverside Park is pretty balanced and fun, but the better I get at this game, the more obvious it is that the final shortcut is just way too big for being a one mushroom shortcut. So this is a really strong bagging track.
Bro, how'd you get blued in first place and you're under a star? That's crazy.
With not too much you can do as a front runner to gain a lead. The ending cave section is also super chaotic, which means if you don't have an invincibility item for this section, you're really rolling the dice. However,
I agree with that because like if you're ahead of people, if you have like a bomb, green shells, and you throw them back, he's right. I actually got Mario Karted in this cave way too many times. Way too many times. So I agree with that.
Most levels, this track is balanced and dynamic and tends to have super exciting endings.
That shot got him first place. I guess I can see that.
Ninja Hideaway is a
I can see it. I can get behind that.
Special track. I've definitely heard people call this one a custom track.
I can see this being a custom track. It's a very unique track. So I put this one, I want to say it's very, I put it in goated. I feel like I would put it in this section. It might be goated for some reason. Yeah, it's right here. I don't know. It might be placed there overall. I have to like replay this game and figure out some of the things. I mean, I haven't played Mario Kart 8 in almost like 6 months. So it's probably why it's like fading in a way. Like, why do I put this so high up? But it's probably really good. Princess Castle favorite. Oh, that's definitely my top 3 tracks for sure. Or top 5, I guess. Because this is kind of ordered in a way. I mean, outside of DLC, like this was like my number 1 track. So it literally got replaced by, you know, the pass. Where Raceway is goated.
There are a lot of things on Ninja Hideaway that just
Favorite bass
don't
track.
really work for me. There's this horrible respawn if you fall off the glider in the shortcut, where it feels like they just forgot to program a respawn location, and Lakitu figures.
Bro, I didn't even know that. I've never felt there before. That's sad. So like if you guys are both taking the shortcut, and if like say for example you read the person in front of you, that's broken. I didn't even know that.
It out on the spot.
I'm gonna keep that in mind.
Figuring this out is not my job. There are also a ton of alternate paths, which is cool in concept, but most of them are useless. There's also this upward wind that you should definitely avoid at all costs, because it's not only slow, it also puts you on the top path, which is slower, assuming you can even aim that way. But honestly, most of these flaws don't matter too much, because once you learn how to play Ninja Hideaway, there are a lot of things that make it really special. You thought I meant this track was special in a bad way.
He fell. Yeah, you saw that? That's Shortcat. Like, you know what I'm saying? He's in first place. Why did he go for that risky curve?
No, it's in a good way as well. The Piranha Plant wooden board shortcut is one of the coolest shortcuts in the game.
It was a browser extension issue. Okay, I'm glad you got that fixed. Let's go.
There is no other shortcut.
What's going on, Moonix? And what's going on, Kenny?
Bumping a wall to hit an obstacle so that you don't spin out, or use pretty much any item to get through it, and other people can break the board for you. It's just so satisfying to do every time.
I agree with that.
Not as satisfying as the ending gap jump shortcut on 200.
Dog, there's an ending gap shortcut. Shortcut. Please, Senpai, let me know what this looks like.
100cc. So much of this track is genuinely challenging, but very rewarding and unique at the same time. This has definitely been one of my favorite tracks to time trial on both 150.
For some reason, I thought he was going to jump off the tree. Wait, that looks so easy.
This has definitely been one of my favorite tracks to time trial.
He didn't even use a mushroom?
On both 150 and 200.
Bro, what if you could like do that on 150cc with a mushroom?
This has definitely been one of my.
Because it'll give you a reason to go to the top. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, I don't think you can make it on 150cc with a mushroom.
Favorite track.
But the fact you can just do this without a mushroom is broken.
Tracks to time trial on both 150 and 200.
That's stupid. This guy's so stupid. That's peak though. That's peak.
Thwomp Ruins is a decent track to have in the game as a challenging track with obstacles that also has so many alternate paths.
Oh, Thwomp Ruins. Where do we put this? Where do we place this? I like this level a lot. I think it's very solid, but it's not like crazy. I think it's a very good track for sure. Yeah, I definitely put it in the middle here of the pack. It's pretty strong. I like it a lot. I always do very well. This is another track where I also just do very, very well in. I feel like very little goes wrong. Yeah, it's just solid all around. I have my coin routes where if I start in like in a mid place or if I go in first place, I always get 10 coins by the first lap. It's pretty good.
However, as you get better at Mario Kart, you realize that there is pretty much only one path through the track that's worth taking, including the beginning shortcut, which you should always take even without a mushroom. And for
I try to get good at that. I'm always bad with it, and plus my character is kind of low tier. So I typically try to do that first lap, but I try to take it laps 2 and 3. It's definitely worth it.
Being called Thwomp Ruins, on the entire track, you are never in danger of being hit by a thwomp. This track is pretty much a lesson that you should always just be as straight as possible, because the wide paths are usually not good, which is actually an important lesson to learn in Mario Kart. I remember this track feeling very challenging the first few times that I played on it, but the better I got at this game, the more
I also thought this level was really hard for where it was when I first played it, and then once I got really good at the track, it's actually really easy. I can vibe with that.
realized I just wasn't taking the right paths, and the correct paths are just not
And
the most.
can we talk about how hard this shortcut is? Like, if you're going fast and you're drifting, you know how easy it is to mess up the shortcut? It's such a, like, punishing shortcut. It's so crazy. I get bodied by the shortcut. Even if I'm ahead of people, I don't even take it sometimes because I always mess it up somehow. Like, like, if I'm, like, clutched up, whatever, I never take it. Like, I never take it. I just don't want to risk it. Yeah, it's way harder than it looks. Another similar shortcut to this, like, if I have to compare to another level, is Ribbon Road. When you go on that little wavy part, and then you can jump off and land on those, like, blocks. It's, like, similar to that. Like, I'm scared of those shortcuts. Those shortcuts are crazy. What's going on, Chef? Appearing using Bullet Bill. This one, out of all the shortcuts, so you're one of those people that can clear an easy shortcut or fail an easy shortcut, but then all the difficult shortcuts, first try. You're crazy. Oh my gosh, just turn on smart steering on for Ribbon Road. I don't do that. I feel like I want to learn how to do vector gliding. Well, not vector gliding, motion glider. I want to learn how to do that. It seems broken. So if anything I want to learn from this game is that. But no, overall, tough. To me, it's a tough shortcut for what it is.
Most interesting paths. So driving on Thwomp Ruins in the end is still fun. It's just not as interesting as I think it could be.
Oh yeah, the electrodrome. I'm sure he's gonna talk about it once he gets there. Yo, this level is this high up? All right, I gotta hear this. Oh no, yo, dude, you guys know I'm a dry bone dunes hater. Like, I hate this track. These tracks are right here. You will never see me pick. Ever. Even, these 10 tracks, you will never see me pick. You will never, ever, 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 ever in a bajillion years see me ever pick these tracks. It's just crazy. Yo, bro, I already talked about this, and I think we already went over Yoshi's Valley. It has a lot of core issues. I'm not gonna go into details right now. I mean, I guess I can towards the end of it, but no, this level sucks, bro. You have multiple paths, right? Like, say for example, right? If you never played Mario Kart in your entire life, ever, and you go to Yoshi's Valley, where do you go? If somebody's played that level before, you automatically lose. Like, automatically. What if you go to the cannon section? Like, I wish each section benefits you in a different way. Like, I think there's one section where it gives you, like, some good coins, which is fine. You're checking the minimap. Bro, you're not literally checking the minimap when you first play this level. That's cap. Like, that is cap. If you're new to Mario Kart and you play Yoshi's Valley for the first time, you're not looking at the minimap like, okay, what's the fastest way to go? Bro, you're just, like, looking at the aesthetics. You're like, oh my God, this is a Mario Kart 64. You start, and then everybody's going to go to the left, and you're going to be the only person going to the right. And you're like, huh? And then you're going to be in 12th place. Now, I guess you can technically back and get good items and get coins because you went the longer way, because I think they give you coins. But, like, let's just be realistic. Once you learn the level, it's literally just everybody taking the same path, which is either you go to the bridge section or you go to the other section that's, like, right by the bridge, but you go the other way. That's it. And then the rest of the level is just literally you driving straight with very little, like, drifting. And then you get to the egg section. That section is kind of cool because you got to dodge the egg obstacle, which you can set up some good traps there. And then the ending where you can take a shroom cut. About the only thing I remember about that level. Everything else, cheeks, dude. You picked the cannon? That's crazy. That's crazy. Real quick, watch this and skip to, wait, what is this? Real quick, skip and watch the 625.
I've been playing a lot of
625.
Go!
No, I've seen this before. Yeah, no. Trust me, I've seen this before.
Yes! Yes!
Is this where he talks about the trick? No, it was like a world record video, I think, where they talked about how this trick worked. I watched the entire video on that really weird like vectoring thing. I'm not even sure it was a Shortcats video. Yeah. Bro, that pop off is crazy.
Go! Yes! Yes!
That just looks so broken. Like that looks so stupid. It's hype. It's really hype. And I really feel like not a lot of people, if I ever go into a lobby and somebody actually do that, I'm just blocking that person. I'm gonna leave the lobby, I'm gonna block that person, and we're just gonna move on with life. No, not really. But oh, that's crazy. It's crazy.
In my opinion, there should be more tracks like Bone Dry.
What's my Mario Kart 8 Deluxe combo? If I'm not sweating, my Mario Kart 8 Deluxe combo is Toadette, Bitty Buggy. I think it's the Azure rollers, the little mini blue rollers. That's typically my to-go-to if I'm just chilling. But if I want to sweat, it is Peachette. Peachette, sometimes the Teddy Buggy, mini rollers. It doesn't matter what vehicle you pick, it's always mini rollers because boost. The mini turbo is really good in this game.
Dudes, this is one of the few tracks in the game that really feels like it was designed to be a big challenge. Even now, I still often make mistakes and struggle to take optimal lines. Massive skill issue on my part, honestly.
I mean, this level is definitely harder than most tracks. I'll give it that.
The highlight of this track is the sandy and bumpy section in the middle. With how slippery the road is and how you constantly get airtime, and also that you're probably going to be in a mini turbo boost as you take a lot of this section, sometimes you actually need to brake drift, even on 150cc. And on 200cc, this section is just a nightmare, but it's so satisfying when you can nail the drifting. And unlike Piranha Plant Slide, it doesn't feel janky. It really feels like this is the challenge that the track presents to you. And so for me, that's what makes it fun and rewarding, even though, yeah, it is just very strange to take this section. Another challenging section is landing from the glider, as you suddenly have a very sharp turn on slippery road.
This is the section, yes, okay, I'm glad he brought this up. When I first, outside of the shortcut, because I failed a shortcut multiple times on this, I hated that section, or I hated this level, not for, okay, I'll show you the part I started hating this level. This part right here. This part is challenging, and I do like it for that. Not the reason why I hate this track. The part I hate is that when I go on the ender, like on the right side, and I try to take the right shortcut. Well, that's not really a shortcut. I try to go here. I drive here, and then I go in this section right here. And sometimes I'll hit the rock here because I'm just going too fast, or I'm not brake drifting. When I was learning this track, I hated this section like a lot. I got better with it now, so it's like smooth. But what made me really hate the track is this section right here. This section right here is why I hate the track. Because you hit this, you land, and then you sometimes go into the off-road. Again, this is when I first started playing. Obviously, when I got better, it's not much of an issue. But when I first started playing, this section ate my cheeks. Pause. Huh? But anyway, like for real. Like it was crazy.
This section. Another challenging section is
this is like, what the heck? Your combo looks nice. It is very good. What is your combo? Okay, let's see. It's actually you actually use Orange Yoshi, top tier, City Tipper, and Button and Flowers. What's the City Tripper? Is it actually optimal? One thing you're looking forward to the next game is that the cars actually look good. Yeah. I agree. I agree that I'm so happy that we're not using like mini wheels on something like that looks stupid. So it's all like, we're going back to the Wii version of it where you just pick your character, you pick your cart, and that's it. Pretty much. So I'm happy about that for sure. I see. Okay. But it's a bike. Okay. Yeah, I have never tried to use a bike in this game. Never cared to learn it. Like the Mr. Scooty, it's just something I just never really cared to like pick up. I always like the carts. So.
Is landing from the glider, as you suddenly have a very sharp turn on slippery road. I feel like if the whole track was more challenging like this, I'd probably like it a lot more, because a lot of this track is just not as interesting as these two sections. But I can also see why a lot of players actually don't like Bone Dry Dunes for the reason that I like it, and I get it. It's a weird track, but I like it.
Yeah, so that's just like a take for him. Yeah, he's probably the only person I would see put this track this high up, personally. I respect it, though. I respect it. Oh, this level is actually not bad. I like this level a lot. So, yeah, I think it's very good. I'm actually surprised it's this high up. Is it really this high up? Over a bank, over Rush? Really? I feel like it's this. Like, it's probably these two swapped around. I actually put Koopa Cape pretty high, too. I'm actually surprised I put this pretty high as well. Over Mu City, I feel like Mu City clears these three, personally. Wild Woods is actually a sleeper track. Yeah, okay. But yeah, this level, I like it. Static-wise, it's cool. You're by a beach. Los Angeles, I want to go there one day. Hopefully I get there. But yeah, it's cool. There's some sections where I feel like it is a little weird and bland, but for the most part, I do like it. I like it a lot. It's very memorable. You use the button because it has 3 invisibility, and you should optimize invisibility, but it's like +3, man. Yeah, that's really good. So you don't get like Mario Kart and stuff like that. So it makes it good. It makes good. One of the best ones?
Los Angeles laps starts off really great. We go from the city straight to the beach. There are shortcuts, different paths, and even...
Yo, that shortcut is huge. I feel like I've never taken the shortcut before, but yeah, it's huge here.
Huge shortcut. And technically, you can even take this shortcut shroomless using the half pipe. I've done it a few times, but it feels really inconsistent for some reason. Maybe I'm missing something, but I wish it was a little bit...
That's kind of cool. I actually never thought about that.
Bit easier. Okay, and then we return to the city. Lap 1 is really, really good. But then lap 2 and lap 3 is where it starts to fall apart. You see, from here, it pretty much just becomes a standard city track where you're driving on a road with awkward turns between 2 walls.
This section right here. This section. I feel like even to this day, even though I know it's coming up, I would still mess this. Has anybody still hit this wall? But I promise you, this section right here is the most awkward in the entire game. Because I feel like I should be going straight here, and I always somehow hit this wall right here. This section is crazy to me. It's pretty hard. Actually, let me go back real quick.
Standard city track where you're driving on a road.
Like, look at the mini map. Like, even on the mini. Okay, that's kind of cursing. I ain't gonna lie. But yeah, like here, you're only like sharp right turn, and then all of a sudden you hit a ramp. You're thinking you're going straight, and then all of a sudden you have to hit this hard left. It's crazy to me.
Awkward turns between 2 walls, and then you run into this thing. Why is that a double boost panel? Were they not able to find a better texture? Madrid Drive has the exact same thing, but with 1 boost panel. Rosalina's Ice World has long boost panels. It just does not have to be that ugly. Okay, and then we spend half a lap going into and back out of an oil rig area. And like, that's fine, I guess, but it's weird how much time this takes up when this is not what anyone thinks about when they think about Los Angeles. Where are the influencer Yoshis and Instagram model Toads? Where's the gridlocked traffic that we drive in between while none of the cars are moving? Overall, this track has its ups and downs. Lap 1 is amazing, but the rest of the track just isn't that interesting.
And he put it that high is actually kind of insane. Wow.
Paris Promenade is a...
All right, I already saw this on my little thing. This level is, I know it's in very good right here. Yeah, it's solid for like what first wave. I think it's pretty cool. Nothing to really talk about like too much. It's not super crazy, but let's hear what he has to say. Maybe he's gonna teach me a shortcut.
The vibe perfected. The music, the color palette, and design of the track match really well to create a relaxed and
Okay, Shortcat, what? You could trick off that? That's actually, hold on, let me see this again. That's kind of
color
crazy.
palette
So you can do a glider vector here,
and design of the track match
and then hit this,
really well
and then trick off of it again. Wow, okay.
to create a relaxed and laid-back feel. In terms of the layout, you might expect that this is the type of track I would dislike, but this is the one track where I will accept that we have really long drifts that you just hold, because it actually feels right to hold a drift and wait, because this is just a promenade through Paris. That's how it's supposed to feel. Okay, and I've said the word promenade twice now, well, I guess 3 times now, and I know I'm going to get comments of people telling me that I'm pronouncing this word wrong. It happens every single time I even mention this track. It is so funny, because I'm not pronouncing it wrong. It's promenade. This is an English word pronounced promenade. People telling me it's wrong are telling me, oh, but that's a French word and it's pronounced promenade. No, it's not. The R sound is completely different.
Promenade? Ew. Can we talk about the hydrocity versus the hydrocity argument? Like, what? Aish. The nerd emoji chat is coming out of nowhere talking about actually it's promenade, you idiot. Like, come on, let's not do this. Okay, am I the only person that remind yourself that the pipe section isn't off-road? Which pipe section?
Well, I guess 3 times feel, because this is where I will accept.
I feel like I'd never go that way.
I would dislike.
Are you talking about this? It does look like it's off-road, actually. You're talking about this section. It does look like it's off-road.
But this is the one track where
yeah, it does feel a little
that
weird.
We have really long drifts that you just hold.
Hey, you can see both sides. I feel like it should be hydrocity, but my brain don't like words, so I feel like the lazier way of saying it to me is hydrocity, especially since I've been saying it a lot as a kid. But hydrocity just sounds cooler. I'm gonna be real. But I am not saying what he say, promenade. I'm not saying that.
To hold
that sounds ugly.
Wait, because this is just
even if it is correct.
Paris.
I'm not saying
That's
that.
how it's supposed to feel. Okay, and I've said the word promenade twice now, well, I guess 3 times now, and I know I'm going to get comments of people telling me that I'm pronouncing this word wrong. It happens every single time I even mention this track. It is so funny, because I'm not pronouncing it wrong. It's promenade. This is an English word pronounced promenade. People telling me it's wrong are telling me, oh, but that's a French word and it's pronounced promenade. No, it's not. The R sound is completely different in French. And even then, like, why don't you just correct me on my pronunciation of Paris? Paris is way more wrong compared to my pronunciation of promenade. Paris promenade is 2 English words that I'm pronouncing correctly in English. If you want me to pronounce it in French, I'm not going to do that. I don't speak French. Like, how would you like it if I went to a bakery where we all speak English, and instead of ordering a croissant like a normal person, I said, hey, can I get a croissant? Like, that's weird, right? Why did I just switch languages? Anyway, if you're someone who wants to die on the hill that I'm not pronouncing promenade correctly, then you might want to take a look at English, because English is a mashup of so many different languages, and I really hope you're pronouncing...
Bro, you saw that bomb? That bomb was crazy.
Everything right from where every single word came from. Okay, anyway, rant over.
All right, I'm still in that bomb snipe. That's crazy. Hello? It's like Ivysaur Razor Leaf looks like it should be have a boomerang effect when it doesn't. I feel like I've never had that before. I feel like it should just like fly off and disappear. But I also just main Ivysaur in Project M. So maybe it's just in my brain, it shouldn't work that way. But I can kind of see it if you don't play the character and you feel like it should just come back.
Let's get back to
Paris Promenade.
Promenade parisienne.
I love the split path section where you can
Oh my
either get
gosh.
boost panels and items, or you can take a faster path on the left. However, I don't like that the pipe section looks like off-road, which really tricked me at the start. Paris Promenade
Imagine
is
that
pretty
hit, though,
much
I would've popped
designed
off.
perfectly for what it wants to be.
It's such a
But what
smart
it wants to be
snipe.
is not that interesting. I respect it, I think it's designed very well, but it doesn't get to rank too highly for me.
Wow, he almost lost to that Yoshi. Jesus. Yeah, it's pretty good. Honestly, that is a pretty high. Oh, I mean, not really, because we still got a lot of. I gotta remember how many tracks there are in this game, because this is still considered like mid. You know what I'm saying? Like, good God.
Wario's Gold
I
Mine
gotta
is a
remember. I'm
pretty
like, yo, that's not even that bad, bro. It's like above average. No, that's pretty low, I guess, compared to like how many other tracks there are left.
standard track. I think I would have liked it a lot more if the
Yeah,
mine
96
carts
tracks.
were still hazards like they were in Mario Kart Wii. The mine-
Okay, so where do I place this level? I think it's in very good. I like this level in this game. Oh, it's good enough. Okay. I like this level in this game than I like it in Wii. So that's that. And there's a couple like cool changes where the mine carts are no longer obstacles. They just boost you, which is pretty cool. So I like that. So
carts made this section genuinely very dangerous, but instead now they just give you a tiny little speed boost, which is mostly useless, so you kind of just ignore the minecarts. The rest of the track is pretty decent though. It's super satisfying to trick off the corner ramps.
Yeah.
And the turns in general, I would say, are a little wide and awkward, but charging up the proper mini turbos here is extra risky and fun because of it, as you could fall off if you do it incorrectly. And I like that the two dips in the road really make things chaotic, as you're blind to the items that may be placed there. If I could make a change though, I would make the first item set have a double item box, and that incentivizes the front runners to drop bananas and throw shells back strategically. Another part of the track
that's a smart
that is
idea.
really underrated is just how real it all looks. You can see a lot in the distance, and this actually feels like a
okay, you know what? I did a Mario Kart 8 rating list. I actually did not account for how beautiful this track is. I definitely did not talk about how good this track looks. And the aesthetics actually does look really good. Yeah, I felt on that. I definitely felt on that. Wow. Okay. Well, there you go. Beautiful. That is breathtaking for Wario's Gold Mine. Unpopular, but the Wild Wiggler is an S tier vehicle. Technically terrible, but it controls so very well. I do like the Wiggler a lot too. Sometimes I hop on the Wiggler. Depends. I feel like I always do DK Wiggler for some reason.
real place that could exist outside of Mario Kart. It's tracks like these that really make me appreciate the more realistic art style of the base game tracks.
Solid. Bro, okay, you know what? I can tell you right now, especially not playing Mario Kart for a while, I bet you this is in my bias. I love this track. Bro, I always get first place on this track. I always do really well. Like, everything goes right for me. I love tracks where I don't get hit by green shells because this doesn't have any, like, walls. I don't know what it is, but green shells find a way to always snipe me. And levels that don't do that, S tier. But moving up here. Yeah. It's biased, right? Nah, there's no way this level's not in bias right now. Wait, it's not? Oh, am I blind? It's not in bias? I'm actually shocked. I love this track. It should be like right here. Honestly, it should be right here. Wow, I'm actually surprised. Okay.
SNES Rainbow Road has definitely grown
I'm
on
actually
me over
surprised.
the years. I remember thinking it was just kind of boring since it's pretty much just a flat
That's what I
track
thought.
with not too much going on, which is unlike all the other Rainbow Roads. But what it does have going on is actually really fun. The music is pretty good once it gets going, and even just the layout. It's completely flat, but it has so many sharp turns, and it's really great for charging up mini turbos, especially on 200cc, where the mini turbos actually make it risky as you could fall off on the turns. The gap jump shortcut is always satisfying to pull off, especially since it's actually difficult to line up such a sharp turn to make the jump. I don't usually care too much for thwomps as enemies, but they are used perfectly here. When they slam into the ground, we get wavy road to trick on, and there is very little room to maneuver around them, so you really have to make a choice about which way to go and be accurate, especially if somebody else is near. Of course, I do think that they could have designed this track to have more interesting parts, but they're doing a really good job for what they're working with.
Oh my god. He bombed himself there because he got hit by the the red shell hit the bomb. Dang, that could have been bad. Jesus. Super Mario Brothers Mushroom of the Wilds. Stop. Why does that sound like that should be a game? What if that is the next Mario game? If you get hit by a green shell on this track, then you wait, that's just thrower being skilled. True. But I'm talking about like not the throwers being skilled. I'm talking about like those like stray green shells that like has no purpose, but then all of a sudden they just find a way to smack you in the face. I'm sure if you guys see me play Mario Kart, happens to me a lot. I always get hit by those random green shells like out of nowhere. Crazy. Okay, I can tell you right now, Snowland is not going to be very high for me. I think it's like good. It's good enough. Yeah, it's good enough.
Snowland is such
But to be fair, I made this tier list before I knew about the shortcut, so I feel like this gives it a little bit of a boost, but yeah.
a mixed bag for me. It's really fun, yet it is so stupid. And overall, for me, that just averages out to being good, but not great. Now, we have to talk about the huge shortcut at the start. It's the biggest one mushroom shortcut in the game, and it saves 3.5 seconds, which is just way too much. Honestly, I think this shortcut was very poorly designed. I mean, it's fun when this stuff exists, like all the jank you see in Mario Kart Wii. It is fun. I like this shortcut, but it just doesn't feel quite right. I remember trying to learn this one for the first time, and there really is no indication of where the out of bounds zone is. They could have put a cliff or a tree or something, but nope. Saving 3.5 seconds is okay, but saving 4 seconds is illegal. You're going all the way back here, buddy. And okay, this shortcut is fun once you get the hang of it, but that's kind of it for the track. The rest of the track is really just not that interesting, and I find myself spending the entire race thinking about how I'm gonna make sure I can take this shortcut on the next lap. This is your classic case of bagging being way more fun and effective than front running. At least the races here tend to be really crazy.
What the heck was that? God dang.
Had a lot of memorable moments.
He got second. Oh, I would have been heated. Holy red shells. You seen that? And then got hit with a blue? Undeserved, honestly. That's crazy. It's the rumor smart bounce. I can see that.
Also, where I successfully dodged a blue shell with a ground mushroom, and then the blue shell got revenge on me on lap 3. This is the only time I've ever seen it take that shortcut. It usually goes around. It was out to get me.
Dolphin shows. We're not going to talk about it, but I mean, banger music. I put it here in very good. I like the track a lot. The aesthetics are really cool. Racing it is like okay, but we're just here for the music at the most part. And we're also just disappointed by the fact that we're underwater most of the time, so you don't really hear that horn until the very end, and it's very very short. So
okay, I will admit, for the longest time, I did not like Dolphin Trolls at all. And if you don't like it, I don't blame you. Most people probably don't like this track. But Dolphin Trolls is secretly fun and difficult. But it's just boring when you don't actually know how to do it.
God dang, I've never seen the motion control glider on that level before. That looked crazy. What?
So you can get low tricks on the ramps at the start.
I didn't even know that. Stealing that.
Are 3 decent paths to take in the cave, with the right path being the fastest, and you can also skip the items afterwards for a little shortcut. On the eel,
I never noticed that. That's the fastest way? Nah, that's the fastest. No way.
And you can also skip the items afterwards for a little shortcut. On the eel, you have to hit a whole bunch of tricks, which is very difficult by
I
just
never knew
pressing
that.
R, so it's much easier if you shake your controller to trick.
I do that a lot. If you guys ever noticed that a lot of the times I'm always using motion controls to trick. Because if you like, say for example,
Yeah,
if
me
you,
be like, I was unfamiliar with your game.
for real, like I'm learning a lot from this. This is great. For real, for real. Yeah, I always do motion control things to trick because if like, say for example, if you miss your trick like by jumping, you lose a lot of speed. So there's no risk to like shake. And you always hit it because if you spam shake, you just always hit it.
Then on the
And if you hit it early enough, because I always try to trick on the like lowest part of the ramp, so you'll like get a little bit of air and then land immediately. But jumping off the side of the ramp is smart.
final glider, there's a glider shortcut that you can only take if you have motion controls or smart steering enabled. And honestly, all of this is really fun.
That is so bro. Look at that. I need to learn that.
Especially after learning the motion glider shortcuts, the track just feels way better to play. However, there's something really dumb about this all. Dolphin Shoals is the most unfair track in the game. And what I mean by that is, the optimal way to play this track online is to use a pro controller, shake your controller on the eel, pause and quickly turn on motion controls, then do the motion glider, then pause to turn motion controls off again. Unless you're playing against the bots, don't do this offline because the game just pauses for everybody, and you cannot do this with lots of other controllers, including my baby, the GameCube controller. Well, I can do the motion glider. In fact, I can more easily do the motion glider than the pro controller, but
Wow.
I cannot shake trick on the eel. And
Yep, that's why I play with the pro controller, baby. Best controller.
it's not a timing issue. The mechanics of tricking are literally different between controllers. I
Oh.
still like the track despite the controller disparity, but in principle,
I didn't know
this
that.
is really stupid. So
Oh.
thanks, Nintendo. This is such a Nintendo thing to have in a game and not get fixed after 8 years. But oh well, I hope the next game doesn't favor particular controllers. Just kidding, it will, and the GameCube controller will reign supreme.
I didn't know that, but okay. Yep, I fixed it.
Toad Circuit was definitely
Mm-hmm.
very jarring to see as one of the first DLC tracks, and
We
people
fixed.
loved to make fun of it for how the textures look compared to the base game tracks. And yeah, if you were just looking at
Okay, so for this particular track, it's very mid. I'm just be real. This is mid. It's cool, but it's mid.
Wario's Gold Mine, and then suddenly you see Toad Circuit, these don't look like they're from the same game. Now, there's nothing wrong with a more cartoonish art style, it's just that it doesn't fit in this game. But that was when the DLC first came out. Now, half the tracks look like this, so get over it. It does belong in this game. Toad Circuit has one of my favorite soundtracks, and I feel like it really captures the vibe of Mario Kart. It's a very shortcut-focused track, especially with the huge final shortcut, which is actually very difficult to do well with just one mushroom.
Wow.
This is mostly a bagging track, but front-running
You're
can work as
crazy.
well as it's a short track. This is definitely a track that I liked more and more as I got better at the game, since it really tests your item management, shortcut skills, and snaking ability, which is when you drift back and forth to get mini turbos. I do feel like
I don't think this is the worst level in the game. It, like I said, I like the shortcuts. The shortcuts makes this level a lot better, for sure. I think the shortcuts are better, but I think it's solid. It was voted the worst. I don't know, man. I also placed Baby Park very low too on my list. Where's Baby Park? Yeah, I think it's hot trash. TBH. And I think he basically already talked about Baby Park, right? Baby Park. He did put up, I think, a lot higher than I thought. Nah, that level is straight cheeks. It's so much better in Double Dash, personally. Okay, I know he talked about it. It's like in this area right here, but
Like this track
Yeah,
is
it's pretty
relatively
low,
rewarding
in
for
my personal
skill,
opinion.
both for front running and for bagging, but I don't think it does it that well for either of them, and there is definitely quite a luck-based element because it is short and you never know how many blue shells and shocks could show up. Maybe there will be none and a comeback is impossible. So having to commit to a strategy can be really weird and unrewarding on this track sometimes. But this track is always very fun, and I've had some of my best and worst moments happen right at the end of Toad Circuit.
That's crazy.
Next up,
Booze love destroying me like that, so I feel you, Shortcat. I definitely feel you on that.
we have the tracks that are very good. These are tracks that I feel offer something interesting, but they don't have that special sauce that makes them great. I really like these tracks, but they definitely have room to improve. Twisted
I actually don't know where I place this level. Twisted Mansion. Where do I place this? I actually don't even know. Is it good enough? Yeah, okay. I feel like it would be like a good enough track. It's okay. Yeah. Has like some really cool shortcuts you can take. And I feel like I always felt like, at least early on, I always felt the ending shortcut a lot. I particularly don't always do well on this track for some reason. I always feel like I either get Mario Karted or I just fell a shortcut. But it's pretty
Mansion
solid.
is very good. I used to just feel alright about this one, but the more I play it, the more I can appreciate what it has that other tracks don't have. There are two sections on this track with a split path where both paths are nearly the same speed. And honestly, I think Mario Kart needs way more of this. When both paths are the same speed, the path I take actually depends on where the other racers are. If I want to hit someone, I need to take the same path. But if I want to dodge, I need to take the other path. Plenty of tracks have alternate paths, but usually they're just not worth taking because they're too slow. And with 24 players coming to
God dang. Hold up. I mean, I get the strat here, and I think you benefit of hitting the wall a little bit more and keeping your drift here, but that's crazy.
they're just
Like,
not
he is
worth
literally riding the wall. Oh, maybe because of the boost panel.
taking because they're too slow. And with 24 players coming to
Wow.
Mario Kart 9, I really hope that the tracks are designed with more split paths as well, maybe longer split paths too, so I don't have to face the wrath of 23 other players at once. I already cannot handle 11 other players. As for the rest of the track, the more I play it, the more the turns feel perfectly suited for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe drifting, and getting each mini turbo feels very satisfying. The only part I really don't enjoy on this track is the basement underwater section. Like, why is it flooded, and why is the whole thing just walls? But I do like the creepy mansion theme. The supernatural vibe goes perfectly with this disappearing banana peel.
No! That's so sad.
Cloudtop Cruise has amazing music, it looks great, and each section is very different and memorable.
Okay, so Cloud Top. Where do we put Cloud Top? So Cloud Top, I feel like I have to put it in this section. It might be higher though. Or it might be lower. Is it mid? Is Cloud Top mid? No, it can't be mid. Dude, I hate not finding my track. That's right here. It's good enough. Okay. I mean, that's fair. I feel like I was never really excited to ever play on this level, but it's not bad.
And just like Twisted Mansion, there is a short split path that is about equally fast no matter which way you go, and you can seriously make up some spots just by choosing the path that is safer. I especially love the electronic remix of the soundtrack when you get to the boost panel section. This section is honestly not that interesting, but you still have the choice between coins and boost panels, and you have to dodge the lightning strikes. And then, of course, the final shortcut. I always failed this as a beginner because I thought it was a bounce pad and you had to trick right away, so I would just fall off. But it's really fun to do.
It
It's
is
not
very
too hard,
satisfying.
and it's also a risk if you get bumped or hit during this shortcut. you could definitely fall all the way back from first to last. So be careful out there and don't be like Short Dog. That's actually so embarrassing. I'm so sorry I've shown this so many times. I'm not that sorry.
Yo, Daisy Circuit, let's go. This could be biased. I'm gonna be realistic with you. This could be biased. I don't think the track is like that interesting. Aesthetic wise is great. Yeah, I'm biased. The aesthetic wise is really great. The music is really good here. But yeah, I think it's a solid track overall, fun to drive on, but I don't think it's anything special. If it wasn't in bias, I'll probably put it in very good overall. But as far as the music and like nostalgic picks, it's not bad.
Daisy Circuit, for the most part, feels relatively basic, but something about the textures, the music,
he knows.
and the feel of the track
He knows.
just fit together really well. The main shortcut has a wooden board that makes it function similarly to Ninja Hideaway, but since it's off-road on the inside, it's unfortunately not always worth taking unless you have a mushroom. But I really enjoy charging a purple mini turbo into the shortcut and releasing it off the glider.
Bro, there's just no way you charge a purple turbo and optimize that. Are you serious? Wow, that looks hard. I'll probably never do that, but that's
the ending
crazy.
section is also fun, as there are multiple paths you can take here depending on if you need coins or items. Then with how it's slightly faster to take the sidewalk, I love how there's just enough to keep every section of this track engaging. And I'm glad we don't have that thing from Mario Kart Wii where the cones can randomly slow you down. Now that was stupid.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sydney Sprint is a
Sydney Sprint. Go to the track. I really don't remember much about this level, to be real.
pretty good track.
But, yeah.
It has one of the best soundtracks in the game.
Oh, yeah, the music
and
is so
unlike
good
a
here.
lot of city tracks,
Yeah.
the layout is relatively easy to remember. Lap 1 is super fun because of how you can get draft boosts and try to snipe other players to try and take first or second, because the top 2 spots get to take all the coins at the start. This is a dynamic that you don't really see on most tracks. And if you're in the back, you can strategize to wait for the coins to respawn and then grab them afterwards uncontested. And then you can make your comeback on lap 2, because lap 2 alone has 6 shortcuts. This makes for a very interesting strategy compared to other tracks. I can't think of a single other track that's like this. So comebacks are very possible, but you're much better off making your comeback early, and you still have to fight to keep your position at the top for a whole lap. It's not like other shortcut heavy tracks where you can just stay safe and come back right at the end, because making a comeback on Sydney has to be timed well, and it's still a risk. My only downside for this track is that pretty much all of lap 3 is not that interesting. It just becomes city track, and then Excite Bike Arena, and then the end of Tokyo Blur again. It's just like a kind of wide turn with 2 walls on the side. It's not that interesting here, but lap 1 and 2 really make up for it. And honestly, if lap 3 was better, then I could put Sydney way higher on this list, because it really offers something unique that we don't see on other tracks.
I agree with a lot of that.
Bowser's Castle delivers very well on its theme, and it has a distinct look and feel. And I like that you actually have to look forward on multiple sections of this track. First, to see where the Fire Pillar and Wrecking Ball are, because if you don't look...
Okay, so where do I put this level? This level gotta be... goated, right? It has to be goated. Is it bias? Okay, let me see if it's in goated. Goated. It's very good. It's not goated? Yo, that's crazy. I'm gonna have to redo it as tier list, dog. There's some things I would change on it.
Like the
like
turn
dramatically.
before, then you're going to run into it. And then later in the track, you have to do this again to see which way Bowser is going to punch. Although this is not that important because you can kind of just drive around his hand, but you will miss the boost panel. Now, both paths in this section are about equally fast, and depending on the cycle, you can even take a little gap jump shortcut on the left side. This is a
What?
cycle. You can even take a little gap jump
That looks crazy.
shortcut on the left side. This is especially cool on 200cc. Plus, you can even take a little gap jump on the right side as well. I can't really explain why I don't like this track more, because it feels like it's checking a lot of boxes. I think it is very good, obviously, but there are so many great tracks in the game that I just don't see it going.
Damn, hold on, this track looks
Like it has
crazy.
anything that makes this track very special, it's just a very solid track.
Wow. That looks crazy. That should be in my goated track for sure. Daisy Cruiser. All right, so we got Daisy Cruiser here. Daisy Cruiser. I think I'm biased. Yeah, okay. That makes sense. That makes sense. Level's fantastic.
Daisy Cruiser has a unique theme and creates a very relaxing feel. When you first play this track, you might feel like it's a little bit too simple, but as you get better at the game, the driving starts to become very technical, and it's super satisfying to get all the mini turbos just right. There really is just barely enough room on the track to squeeze out all the optimal mini turbos, and it is a very fun track to front run because of that. And while the track appears straightforward, there are actually quite a few alternate paths that have uses. You can go around the swimming pool for extra coins. You can take an underwater path.
I actually didn't know about the extra coins on the left side. I always just go into the pool.
For 3 item boxes instead of just the 1 item that you would get on the top path. And at the split path after the finish line, it's actually not much slower to take the left path instead to stay away from other players, and you won't have to fight for item boxes. Just make sure you don't hit yourself with a green shell.
I will. Trust me, Shortcat. Toe Harbor is peak. I think it's goated. Please tell me it's goated. The music in Toe Harbor is just so it's soothing. Very soothing. Toad Harbor. Please tell me it's up here. It's not in bias for sure. Is it lower than that? Good enough? Nah, that's crazy.
Toad Harbor is a decently fun track at all levels of play.
I'm gonna be real
The
with you,
music
that's
here
actually kind of
is
crazy.
Extremely underrated, and there are alternate paths all over the place. Now, not all of them are useful, but I especially enjoy all the paths that you can take at the beginning section, since there's actually a reason to take all of them. Whether it's for coins or for item boxes or for going faster, all of these paths until the shortcut through the buildings are all useful. But my favorite part about Toad Harbor is definitely the tram bounce, which is one of the most difficult techniques in the game, and it pretty much only works if you're on a fast pace on lap 1. But it gives you a huge lead if you can pull it off.
I didn't
and
even
it
know
feels
about that.
Amazing. It's basically a shortcut, but it's way cooler than a shortcut. And this track is also a really fun challenge on 200cc, especially with the thin path shortcut being a lot more difficult. And it's possible to take the ending shortcut without a mushroom.
Huh. Yeah, that level should be higher on my list. That's crazy.
The city
I don't know much about this track. Don't think I play it too much. So I feel like it might be very good. Yeah, it's right here. Very good. Okay.
track that feels the least like a city track is definitely Athens Dash, and that is a compliment. This track looks completely different from all the other city tracks, and it is beautiful. Just don't look too closely or you'll see polygons.
I was just about to say, how are you going to say this track looks beautiful and we're looking at this? That doesn't look good at all.
But technically, you can say that about every track. The polygons are just different sized. Athens Dash has so many opportunities to do tricks and mini turbo tricks, making it fun for beginners and experts. Some of the grass shortcuts can be done without a mushroom, and there are actually several big shortcuts on the track, which cannot be said for most city tracks. And despite being mostly brown, each section is actually very memorable and unique because of the layout and all the things that you pass by. And because everything feels different from each other, it feels very natural to memorize the track layout. And honestly, that is what city tracks should be. You should get to see a lot of memorable things, right? That's the whole point of adapting real life cities, and it shouldn't just be boring the whole time. Overall, this is a very good track, and it does not suffer from any of the classic city track issues. It even has this insane shortcut on 200cc. I love when this stuff is possible, even though it's not that practical in a real race. But it just goes to show that this track has a lot of interesting stuff going on and has a lot of creativity that this stuff is even possible. I mean, on most city tracks, you're just on a road between two walls with no elevation change, and so obviously none of this crazy stuff is possible.
That's crazy. Okay, cool. More shortcuts. Rome. That's the next level? Oops. Yeah. This level's pretty. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. I think it gets a high ranking for me because of how it looks. I don't really care how it drives too much though. Where did I put this level? Is it encoded? Yeah, it's right here. Yeah, it's really sick. I do like it a lot.
Rome Avanti has
and I love the
layout
music
that
here
can
too.
be a bit
It's beautiful
difficult to memorize, but that's about the only real downside to this track. And in my opinion, lap 1 of Rome is honestly one of the best laps in the whole game. I find it so fun to charge up mini turbos up the ramps and then fly out of the building with an orange mini turbo charged onto the ground, take a shortcut and try not to hit the little corner, and then there are 2 more shortcuts at the end of the lap, and then you can even mini turbo trick on the sewer. But then we get to lap 2, and lap 2 is not nearly as interesting. I really remember struggling to memorize the layout for a lot of this because everywhere it kind of looks the same. But then lap 3 gets pretty good again. But I don't know what's the deal with this section right after the glider, and it really feels like you should be able to land on this thing with the glider and take a shortcut.
Wait, what is he talking about? Land on what? Oh,
right
I
after
see.
glider,
The sidewalk
and
on the
it
left.
really feels like you should be able to land on this thing with the glider and take a shortcut. But the way it is right now, it's just like a big turn that like I don't even know what we're passing by right now. But anyway, the end of lap 3 is just the end of lap 1 again, and that's why it's any good. And I like that the ending shortcuts are not so big as to be broken, but they definitely cause a lot of chaos and exciting endings. I could definitely rank Rome Avanti much higher if the rest of the track played as well as lap 1, but honestly, lap 2 and lap 3 are just kind of okay. I would also rank it higher if they added more pizza. That's the only food they eat in Italy, so
That's so funny.
there should be way more pizza signs around here. Very unrealistic.
That's so funny.
So
Now this track is underrated. AF. I love this track. It's goated. That's exactly. I will go to say it's even better than Shy Guy Falls on my, I guess, list. But this track is growing on me more and more as I play it. It's fun to drive on too.
Sunset Wilds is a
Very
really
good.
fun track. I remember this track got a lot of criticism when it first came
Yeah,
out.
I
because
agree.
The sun does not set anymore. But since I have no nostalgia for the original, I find myself unable to care. There is so much off-road on this track, and all of the shortcuts are really fun to do. I'm also glad that the shortcuts are mainly in the first half of the track, because otherwise bagging here would be way more broken than it already is. You can also do 2 of the shortcuts without a mushroom, and pulling these off perfectly is actually incredibly difficult and satisfying. Now, front running is not that good on this track, so you won't be doing these shortcuts that often, but at least front running is really fun on this track. There is no other track that has quite the same textures and feel, so I'm really happy that we have Sunset Wilds in the game.
I agree. I agree.
Mario Kart Stadium.
Yo, I know why this is so high up, but I think this level is just good. Good enough. Okay, I put in good enough.
is the first track in the game, and I think it does an amazing job of showcasing all the mechanics in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. But before we get to that, let's just talk about the music. This music is so iconic, it just feels like the music of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. It's really, really good. Like, I don't think it's doing anything revolutionary in the music, but it just is so memorable and it just feels so right for the first track in the game. Now, on this track, there are two very sharp turns where you can easily get a purple mini turbo. There are boost panels on the side. There are plenty of off-road shortcuts. There's anti-gravity, a glider, and trick ramps. This is great design for the first track in a game because pretty much everything is here for you to learn. But it's not just a beginner track. There is so much advanced tech as well, and that's part of what makes this track a lot better.
It's so crazy. Bro, it's like watching this game, and I'm just like, I wouldn't do this, and then I look at him like, bro, why am I not doing this? This is so crazy. He's taking some really cool lines. Mario Kart Stadium is like the Mario of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe tracks. It's so good.
And honestly, that's something that
You know what? Honestly, just looking at this, I will rate this level a little bit higher. I'm actually surprised I put it in good enough. Like, what? Yo, hold up.
really shocked me when I first saw this track played at a high level. Nearly every shortcut on this
I
track
agree.
can be done without a mushroom, including the final shortcut, which you can take by gliding over it. And this shortcut gets pretty intense. There are levels to it. Like, if you just hold back and try to glide over the shortcut, it's doable, but it's actually very slow. If you release a purple mini turbo into the glider, that really helps you clear it, and this is a very fast way to do it, although it's a bit tough to get the purple mini turbo to activate at just the right time. But if you have at least one mushroom and have motion controls turned on, then you can just commit absolute robberies at the end of the race. Like, it is crazy how big this shortcut can be. You're just gliding, but gliding diagonally is broken because the game doesn't cap your speed. It's such a crazy, like, oversight that happens in so many video games, and it's here too, and it's just insane. I love this shortcut. It is so fun, and no, I'm not just biased because I have the GameCube controller and I can do motion controls at all times. Now, however, there is a downside to this because obviously this is right at the end of the track, and so at a high level, this is more of a bagging track, but it's not too intense. The shortcuts are kind of balanced enough that you can still win by front running. It's just not the better strategy. And at most levels of play, this track is incredibly balanced and dynamic.
This looks so
Front
satisfying.
running works, but comebacks are always possible.
Wow.
Which makes for very exciting and unpredictable races.
I will be mad if I lost to that.
So how come both of you voted for this track?
I like this track.
Shortcut. Oh god, these two in the track or in a stream, goated. Let's see. I think this level is definitely a lot lower. Yeah, Mario Circuit is definitely a lot lower for me. Very mid overall. It's okay. I do think it's alright, but
Yeah, I mean, there you go.
Mario Circuit uses a really cool idea thanks to anti-gravity. This track is a Mobius strip, which means that even though you never leave the track to go to the other side, the way that it works with the geometry is that you do end up driving on both sides of the track, and you can even see the upside down track if you look carefully. In theory, this is such a fun idea, but in practice, the track being a Mobius strip doesn't really add anything. In fact, it just makes the layout have a bunch of wide turns. I feel like they only made this track so they could put something unique on the poster to showcase the anti-gravity dynamic. And also this track is in the shape of an 8. That's pretty cool. However, driving this track does have some complexity. If you just drift, the piranha plant will get you. But instead, you can slightly swerve around it, or if you're behind someone, it will try to bite them first and ignore you. Or you can also mini turbo to escape its bite. This simple mechanic leads to surprisingly fun decisions on what would otherwise be a relatively boring section. Another neat thing about this track is the two huge shortcuts. They're supposed to be taken with 2 mushrooms, but you actually can do it with just 1 mushroom and some very precisely timed hops. And if that's too difficult, you can also just plan to cut off a smaller amount of the shortcut with 1 mushroom. And these shortcuts look big enough to make it a bagging track, but surprisingly, this track is a little bit more balanced than you think. It is a bagging track, but not that much of a bagging track. Frontrunning does work a lot of the time, and frontrunning this is more fun than you might expect. And fun fact, the music on this track is a remix of Mario Kart Stadium. Just like the Mobius strip, I like that idea, but I think the sound they used is a bit weird, and I do prefer the original Mario Kart Stadium music.
Okay, I actually didn't know that. Now hearing it, yeah,
Ice
it
Ice
is.
Outpost looks beautiful. The soundtrack.
Okay, I'm going to hard disagree on this. I'm probably going to end up liking it a lot more after he explains it, but I feel like it's still going to be very low on my list. Not a big fan of this level at all.
Track is really
Not a
good,
big fan.
and the gameplay is really fun. The whole track is just you driving on the yellow or green path, which sounds pretty boring in theory, but they tend to split off into paths that are about equally fast, and you can still choose to switch paths again after making your choice because it keeps changing elevation. With how thin the road is and with walls, it's really easy to get hit by an item on this track. So choosing the correct path to avoid items and avoid other players is crucial to being good at this track. And that's a skill that you just don't get tested on that much in this game. There's also a really fun but risky shortcut that skips the double item box and leads into an optional second part of the shortcut that is even more difficult to get just right. Part of what makes these shortcuts so difficult is not only that you're driving.
I actually
on slippery
never
roads
knew
with low
that
tracking,
second part.
but also that you spend a lot of your time in the air and you cannot change your trajectory in midair. So sometimes the shortcut looks
I didn't
easy,
even know that
but
was
just know
there.
that if you flew off in the wrong direction, you're just gonna keep going in the wrong direction until you fall off. And then near the end, I love this.
No, I never
The optimal
knew that was
line
there.
Is to switch from the yellow path back to the green path. And I just love path switches. It's just a really different sort of way of taking.
I
a
always wonder
shortcut,
how you get
it's
there,
also
but I
sort of
never knew there was like a little
optional because
alcove right there.
Depending on who's near you, you may just want to take one of these paths.
Yo,
And
what's
there's just
up,
something
late
that
to me?
feels so smart about them. And even the final shortcut has its own complexity. If you take a safe and direct line in, you will actually go so fast that you miss
Shout
a
out to
second
Toadette.
trip ramp,
Let's
and
go.
that's
Seen some
slower.
Toadette
But if you
gameplay.
play it riskier and take a precise turn in, you can get 2 tricks. Love it. Now, the reason I don't rank this track higher is because I feel like it is a little bit too easy to get hit, and it doesn't always feel like there was.
I
anything
never
you can
knew
do about
that.
So even though you can do path switches to get away, sometimes you can't really, and then there's actually
I still
very
don't like
little
this track,
comeback potential
but
on
it
this
does make
track
me like
because
it more.
All of the shortcuts do not take a mushroom. And plus, trying to get through the pack back up to the front, you're probably just going to get hit again. But there's nothing wrong with having tracks that really reward front running.
It is a front running track for sure. Okay. Yeah. He didn't really change my opinion too much on that level, but I do have a more of appreciation of it. TikTok clock based. TikTok clock. I think I put it in goated if I had to guess. Please tell me it's in goated. Come on. Oh, it's just been very good. I love this track. What the heck is wrong with me? Do your thing.
TikTok Clock is one of the most special tracks in the game. It has a unique clock theme, and not only does it look great with very fitting music to match, the gameplay on this track perfectly delivers on the clock concept. The entire track is full of moving parts that operate on a cycle, and it's one of the only tracks where you actually have to constantly look forward and stay focused on the track elements to see where they are. It takes a lot of quick planning to dodge hazards or successfully trick on all of the gears, and the track even ends off with a shortcut that can only be done if the clock hands are in the right position, and this is one of the most difficult and satisfying shortcuts in the game. There are just not many tracks where you actually have to look forward and adapt your driving depending on what's going on the track, so TikTok Clock is very special in that way. Now, I have to be honest and say that this isn't exactly my favorite kind of track to play, as I find more fun in tracks that reward you for stuff like precise drifting and decision making. But even if you don't like TikTok Clock for whatever reason, you have to admit that it perfectly executes the concept that it is going for.
I can appreciate that. Okay. Oh, bias. I already can tell you it's bias. It's freaking bias. I was waiting for this level from the beginning to be in the game. Can tell you right now, straight to the top, baby. Let's go. Best level. Unfortunately, not like bias wise, yes, my favorite level, but I don't think it is the best level. But my personal favorite track. Everything about it. I don't really care for the remix too much of this level, but man, it's just a great level. Great level.
Maple Treeway is such a fan favorite track, and I really, really wish that I liked it more. It's beautiful, it's relaxing, it just has a great theme with each section being memorable, and the wigglers are adorable as always.
They're
I'm
cute.
going to explain why I have Maple Treeway relatively low, but first let me explain why I actually liked it before.
It's so crazy, like this is still considered low, and it's an hour into a tier list.
Maple Treeway was one of my favorite tracks in Mario Kart Wii, and I liked it for specific reasons, and those reasons are kind of just all gone in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. So first of all, there is the challenge and the advanced techniques. In Mario Kart Wii, you could kind of take the beginning shortcut Shroomless, and I'm pretty sure it was not faster, but you get a better item out of it because of how the game reads your position while in the shortcut. In Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, it's just so slow that you should never do that. In Mario Kart Wii, there are 2 sharp turns in the tree section that were very difficult, and you could take a really, really sharp turn, but then you risk falling off. So there was some level of risk and reward and skill going on here. In Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, the track is designed differently and it's pretty basic. Another thing was the leaf piles. Hitting a leaf pile had a chance for a mushroom to pop out, and some leaf piles even had a very small chance to give you a star. In Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, the leaf piles cannot give you a star, but they can still give you a mushroom. However, because of the direction and distance that the mushrooms pop out from, it is often impossible to react fast enough to grab the mushroom. So you often actually want to avoid the leaf piles to ensure that nobody behind you gets to have a mushroom boost. There were just so many things that made Maple Treeway special in Mario Kart Wii, and those things were all the things that I liked about the track. And now all of those are gone. So I'm not ranking this low because it's worse than its Mario Kart Wii version. I don't do that around here. I'm just comparing the track to all the other tracks in this game. But I just want to explain to you why I feel like Maple Treeway, despite being such a fan favorite track, I really don't think the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe version works nearly as well. And with all that being
Why
said,
did he do that?
obviously Maple
That
Treeway
looked
is
crazy.
not a bad track. There's still many good things about it. It looks great. I love the wiggler. I love the music. I love the vibes.
Is that faster?
The trees look amazing. It looks really good. It feels really nice to look at. It's just, there's not much going on here. And for one of the longest tracks in the game, after playing Maple Treeway a lot in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, I just feel like I'm a little bit more bored by this track than I should be. And it's really unfortunate that I remember a version that I liked a lot better, but now a lot of what I liked is missing. So I like parts about Maple Treeway, but for how it plays, it really just feels like a very standard track now.
I get that. I feel that. It's just me, dog. I don't know what to tell you, but I kind of vibe it though. Oh, you're talking about his actual me. Yeah, it's kind of cursed. Be real. It is really cursed. I'm looking at Villager thinking that wasn't me. No, it's just Villager. Killager. This level being low is crazy. Wait. Okay, I was about to say it should be in bias. It's bias. I love it.
If you watch a lot of my videos,
I love this track.
especially competitive videos, you'll know that Rosalina's Ice World is one of my favorite tracks to pick as of recent, and my win rate on this track is really high. However, I try not to be biased in that way. Just because I win a lot on a track, that does not make it a better track. Rosalina's Ice World
optimal?
is a special case. I don't think this track is super amazing, I just like to pick it for 2 reasons. The first reason is that Rosalina's Ice World is one of the best front-running tracks in the game, so if I won the previous race, I will pick this track to start in first and get a huge advantage. That's actually why I have a high win rate on this track. It's because almost nobody in competitive likes to pick this track except me, and I only pick it after I win. And that leads into the second reason. It's kind of a sleeper pick for frontrunning because it's a very technical track and also one of the newer tracks, so I can catch other people lacking the skills to compete with me here. So even if somebody else manages to get into first, I can sometimes just outline them and I get to be in first. So essentially, I picked this track because it's unfair and nobody else likes it, so I get a free win. And of course, there are tracks that are technically better for frontrunning if we think about like Moonview Highway or Water Park, but it's hard to be much better than everybody else on those tracks since they are much easier to drive. So anyway, that's why Rosalina's Ice World is not a top tier track. You might think I like it so much, but I pick it specifically so I can have an uninteresting race, but uninteresting in the way that I get to stay in first the whole time. However, it still is a very good track. The music is definitely one of my favorite in the whole game. It gives a very calm feel, which I think perfectly matches the theme of this track. There's also a lot of tech you can do, and it's extremely precise to get all the mini turbos just right. For example, on lap 2 and 3, you can get a mini turbo trick to land on the top path, then drift down into the bottom path.
Okay, hold up.
You can get a mini turbo trick to land on the top path, then
okay.
drift down into the bottom path. It's like a free orange mini turbo that allows you to then get 2 trick boosts. And if you're not as practiced, you can instead use the half pipe boost to reach the top path. It's also amazing that you can do this gap jump shortcut at the start using 2 mushrooms and smart steering. When this track first came out, this shortcut is what everyone was wondering, is that possible? And I'm so glad it's possible because later in the DLC, Nintendo definitely made Lac 2 less strict when picking you up. Now, this shortcut is about the same speed as just using 2 mushrooms on the ground. However, there's a reason to do this shortcut, and that's to go faster without actually being on the ground, because being on the ground in this section is so dangerous. This is the dumbest section of the track, which is also part of why I pick it, because first place has such a huge advantage as you never have to deal with passing somebody on this part of the path. You never have to deal with getting bumped either. This section is so thin, and it's basically impossible to dodge anything, making comebacks very difficult unless you get lucky or have an invincibility item for this section. This was actually part of why I didn't like this track at first, but then I realized, oh, hey, that means first place gets a huge advantage. Let's pick it against competitive players. So Rosalina's Ice World is very fun and very difficult and satisfying to front run, but that's about it. I can't say that it's very balanced and fun for everyone else.
Jesus Christ. I'm just looking at these tracks, and I feel like as they get like longer, he's gonna talk about it more. But Jesus. Oh, this song is a bop. I love Shroom Ridge music, at least. Now, where would I put this on the list? I have no idea. I think it's good enough. There's no way it's lower than that, right? Maybe it's in very good. Maybe it's lower than that. Good enough. Oh no, I put it in very mid, didn't I? No, there's no way it'd be in this section. Is it goated? Okay, I might be like high key blind. Wait, where's Shroom Ridge? Dude, how am I missing something? I hate. Well, where is this? I'm gonna find this level. There it is, right here. Isn't very good. Okay.
Our last track in the very good tier is Shroom Ridge. Shroom Ridge is pretty much your standard, very good example of a Mario Kart track. I mean, it does a really good job of everything. The music is amazing, and it just feels like you're going on a fun Mario Kart adventure. The track is very bright and colorful. It has lots of twists and turns, plenty of hazards, a huge grass shortcut, and then a gap jump shortcut at the very end. This track feels super satisfying to drive, and it's a nice mix of peaceful driving and decision making. I find myself usually not liking the tracks with cars on them, but I think the cars work really well on this track because there are not too many of them, but they still present a challenge. Because of all the twists and turns, it's really fun to take a faster line by going between the car and the wall, but you have to watch out for bumps. And sometimes it's actually not possible, so you have to take a wider turn around some of the sharpest turns. The ending section is also great, as you'll be getting several mini turbos as you dodge the cars, which is a real challenge even for experienced players. Plus, if you're about to get hit by an item at any point on the track, you can use the car to mitigate damage.
Yeah.
The gap jump shortcut is
I
also
do that all the
interesting,
time.
as you cannot change your direction in
Billy
midair,
Mays.
so you have to preemptively aim away from the cars or be quick to correct your line
Wow,
afterwards.
that was
Shroom Ridge is
crazy.
very fun to front run, but also the two shortcuts give you a very real chance to make a comeback if you use your items intelligently. While there is nothing that's quite outstanding on this track, I would say there's really nothing bad to say about Shroom Ridge, and that's why it's our final track in the very good tier. Alright, next up we have the tracks that are better than very good. They are great. These are tracks that are always fun or provide some sort of unique experience that is not found on many tracks. I don't think these tracks are perfect by any means, but that doesn't matter when pretty much everything else about the track is so good. And starting here is where we're
What?
probably
Did I know about that?
going to see many people's favorite tracks.
Oh yeah, baby. Waluigi pinball. Yep, right there. I knew exactly where to go for that.
Waluigi Pinball has one of the best soundtracks in the game. Although it is the same as Wario Stadium, I don't mind it as they did originally share music anyway, and the music is just so good. Honestly, I associate this soundtrack more with Waluigi Pinball than with Wario Stadium. Like when the track first came out, I didn't even realize they just reused music because it sounds so good here. The pinball theme is creative and works really well, as it just makes the track so interesting to look at and to drive. Now, you could say that most of the green section is a bit dull in terms of aesthetics, but honestly, who's looking? I'm trying to get this perfect mini turbo while not hitting the wall and staying ahead of the pinball. All these sharp turns are really fun, as they are actually quite a challenge even on 150cc, not to mention 200cc where you need some heavy brake drifting just to survive. And I also love a lot of the little decisions you need to make on the track. The pinball goes almost as fast as you, so you really have to make a decision on if you want to try and get ahead of it or slow down and play it safe. And putting a double item box at the far end of the sharpest turn in the entire game is just diabolical. You lose so much time going for this that going for a single item box is basically a shortcut. The final section, which is beautiful by the way, is also very interactive. The pinballs move fast and you need to predict ahead of time where they will be so you can dodge them. You can also choose to take the side paths, which is slower, but you do get 5 coins out of it. Every turn on this track is just so satisfying to take, and you're pretty much always getting orange and purple mini turbos on every single turn. Now, the only thing I don't like so much about Waluigi Pinball is the lack of comeback potential. Obviously, I like that front running is powerful because you're constantly in a mini turbo boost, but playing from the back can feel very helpless. There are no shortcuts, and your speed items often don't stack with mini turbo boosts anyway, so they don't feel quite as good to use. But overall, Waluigi Pinball is a great track.
I agree with all that. It is definitely a really good front running track, and I don't know if I do particularly well on this level a lot of the times. I feel like I don't. I feel like I always like do something stupid on the third lap, and I get like third, fourth at best. Can't remember the last time I got a first place on that level.
Shy Guy Falls is a track that I only kind
Okay, Shy Guy Falls. I do like this level a lot. It's definitely goated for sure. But I think I'm gonna, if I ever remake this, it'll probably be a little bit lower. But Yeah, it's a solid track.
Of like starting out, but over time, I started to like it more and more. And honestly, a lot of the beginning section
I'm gonna be real with you. I like this track better in the original, not deluxe, only because of fire hopping. But
is actually just not that special. But the fun starts after the boost panel section. And I didn't realize it until I got a lot better at the game, but the track really starts to test you from this point. The item that you get here is extremely important, as you are not going to get another item until the shortcut. And since everyone just got their item, you need to be very skilled to dodge all the chaos that happens here. Then on the glider, you have a choice between top or bottom path. It's not a huge difference in speed, but you do want to avoid running into other players as the paths are narrow. Then we have the shortcut. And oh boy, this shortcut is fun. You can take this shortcut in so many different ways. There are 3 ways you can take it shroomless, each one with a different balance of risk and reward. And if you do have a mushroom, it's technically faster to save it for the next shortcut coming up afterwards, since that is one that you cannot do shroomless. However, if you choose to take the shortcut shroomless, you could always get bumped or hit by other faster players, so maybe you should use your mushroom on the first shortcut. It really depends on who and what is around you. Or if you're way in the back, maybe it's worth grabbing the double item box instead and losing a bunch of time for it. And even if you have 2 mushrooms so you can take both shortcuts, taking both shortcuts is actually not that easy. In my opinion, this is one of the best designed shortcuts in the game, as there are so many ways to do it, and if you want to be the best at this track, you really have to make this decision quickly and know how to do most versions of the ending.
Damn!
There's so many decisions to be made here, and the shortcut is so important. In fact, it starts to become important at the very first item set, because if you're near the front, you're not guaranteed a mushroom at the second item set, so you might want to try and get it at the first item set. Look, Shy Guy Falls is not all great, but I just think the ending is outstanding and just so fun, and that's why I think it's a great track.
That's fair. That's fair. That's fair. I will definitely lower it down on my list a little bit, but I like his reasonings. I like his reasonings. Okay, so this level, I think I put it in very good. Yo, very mid. I don't think it's mid. I think I'm just trash at this level. But I don't think it belongs in the very mid section. I think it's hard, especially on 200cc, but I don't think it's that bad. I think it's like skill issue to level.
Now, before we begin, I want you to listen to the music on Neo Bowser City. The music on this track is actually a remix or mashup of several other tracks. If you'd like, look away from the video and see if you can tell what they are, because I'm going to write on screen what each section is.
Get the frick out. Yeah, it is Toad Circuit. I definitely hear Toad's Turnpike for sure. Okay, I love this track now. What a beautiful concept. What a beautiful concept. What the heck? Yeah, it's going up just for that.
And here it is again
back alone.
with the original music.
Why is it so good? Wait, hold up. This actually might be one of the best soundtracks in the game. I never noticed this. This by far might be hands down some of the best compositions I've ever heard in a video game. What? Wow.
It's so funny to think that in the futuristic Neo Bowser City, they've run out of music, and all they have is the music that's already been made before, and they're just remixing it. One of the tracks that I really liked as a new player was Neo Bowser City. The slippery road and consecutive sharp turns make this track very difficult to drive well. Even if you can just drive it all right, you'd be surprised how much time you could be saving if you took each turn perfectly. And because you're boosting into these turns on slippery road, you really have to commit to your lines, and you cannot really correct a bad line into a good one. So even though there are not many shortcuts, this track is very technical and rewards being skilled. Now, as I started improving at the game, I started to feel a bit hopeless on this track whenever I was in the back, because passing other players is always very risky, as it's such a thin path you have to share. But I do think having the whole track be like this maybe was the point all along. A lot of the time, you'll be in a situation where on any other track, you can overtake another racer. But on Neo Bowser City, sometimes you just have to resist that urge and hold your position because the risk is not worth it. This is where the decision making from moment to moment is interesting on this track. I don't hate this about this track because the truth is that comebacks are still very possible. If you can pull off some skillful item dodges or use an invincibility item at a smart time, you can make up a ton of spots as everybody else falls. Now, that doesn't mean you can come back into first because you would need everyone to get hit for that to happen. When it does happen, it's crazy. And I don't think every track should make it so easy to come back into first anyway, so this is great. And also, this is arguably my worst track in the game, not because I'm that bad at it, but because every time I play here, several awful things happen to me, and there is actually just no way back. But that's not how most people experience Neo Bowser City. I just have the anti-plot armor, but it's actually a very solid and unique track.
I agree.
Honestly, Moonview Highway is carried by its music.
I agree. I think this is a very mid track overall. Please tell me I put it in very mid. I did not. I think I put it up here because I'm... Wait, where did I put this track? Okay, I was making sure it's not biased. Like, Jesus Christ. It's very good. I feel like it's lower, honestly. Personally lower.
I mean, just listen to this. Yes, we're actually just gonna sit here and listen to this for a bit. This remix had no right to be this good. Just for comparison, here is the original song. Yeah, if you just showed me this, I never would have thought that this song could be that good. As for the track itself, I really like the beginning section, where the fastest path is to go on the little hill and trick. It's challenging and very satisfying to get it just right. But unfortunately, the rest of the track is not that interesting. I guess it's neat that the boost panels have a different layout every time you play here, but it doesn't add too much to the complexity of this track. What does add to the complexity is the moving cars, moving coins, and item boxes, and the boost panels. See, the boost panels give a huge advantage to frontrunners, not just because you get to constantly be in a speed boost, but also because you can mitigate damage from being hit if you plan it well. This play was made by TWD98 or Troy when I was racing against him. And even though Moonview Highway is naturally one of the best front-running tracks in the game, doing smart stuff like this actually matters. In this race, if he had not done that, I was close behind with triple red shells, and I thought I was about to end his life because he would have perfectly fallen into the position where I could easily take him out. But because of this smart play, he got away and he beat me in this race. Smart plays like this actually matter more than you think in Mario Kart, and I'm glad that this track gives you tons of opportunities to be creative.
Noted.
3DS Rainbow Road feels like a mix between N64 Rainbow Road and Moonview Highway. It's a short track where
All right, I can just tell you right now, one of the best tracks in the game. One of the best tracks in the game. Like, if it wasn't for me being super, like obviously I love Maple Treeway to death. More of a nostalgic pick than anything else. This is the best track in the game, personally. It's so good.
being in a
So
top
good.
position is absolutely busted since there are no shortcuts, and it has plenty of boost panels to keep the front runners moving fast, and you can reduce damage from being hit. But unlike those two tracks, I feel like there's just a bit more tech that you can do as a front runner. For front running tracks, I don't like when it's so easy that it's boring, because then playing in the front is free, and playing in the back is hopeless because you can't really make a comeback. So I'm glad that driving here as a front runner is at least somewhat interesting. And also, this is one of the prettiest rainbow roads. Like, just look at the road texture. It looks really, really cool. And the music is quite good too. I think the moon section is a really fun concept, and I wish we had more of this. We pretty much only stay here for like 10 seconds, and I get that it's called Rainbow Road, not Moon View Highway, but still, I enjoy having something fun that makes each Rainbow Road unique. I also wish this track was longer, or at least had some more stuff to do in the back of the pack, since comebacks are very, very difficult here. I mean, I actually had an entire race once where I held first without using a single item. And I wasn't even trying to do that. It happened by accident. It was just because it was the correct play at every single moment to not use my item. So yeah, basically this track is carried by being pretty to look at and having great music, but playing on it is not always the most memorable or interactive experience.
That's crazy. I feel like a lot of people rate that level way higher than it should be, and I'm one of those people, but I get that. I get it.
Madrid Drive is without
Madrid Drive is solid. Solid. It should be encoded right here. Beautiful.
a doubt
We're
the
moving.
best city track in the game. I would say this is the only city track that I look at on the select screen and I'm like, yeah, I really, really want to play this right now. I could argue that Los Angeles Laps and Rome Avanti have a better lap 1, but Madrid Drive is consistently great for all 3 laps. I would say only Athens Dash can really compare in having 3 fun laps. Somehow that's just not true for every other city track. And the music on Madrid is great. We go through so many different places, which is what a city track should be. And there are several fun shortcuts that are different on all the laps. I love when a track has very technical driving, and Madrid has tons of cool stuff. The lap 1 shortcut can be done with a mushroom, but it can also be done without a mushroom. And this is not that easy at all, but it is very satisfying to pull off and extremely important to do at the start of the race. Lap 2 has a very precise shortcut through the crowd where you basically have to line it up from the blind ramp beforehand, and it can easily get trapped with the banana peels, so you have to decide if the risk is worth it. Then the next item box is crucial, as this is how you will be taking the next shortcut. If you stay high on the glider, you can land in the fenced off grass area and take a mushroom shortcut. Then on lap 3, we have this relatively small grass shortcut, which would be boring, but then you can bonk the wall to precisely and barely charge up a purple mini turbo, and this next one is not great, but it's still fun. If done just right, you can hop over a bit of the railing.
Wow.
This track just has so many fun and memorable parts, and I would say the only downside to this track is that it really does feel like a city track for part of it. There is one section where you're just going between 2 walls and going straight, and it happens twice on the track, but luckily it's not that long. I don't think Madrid Drive is perfect by any means, but it's definitely the best city track by far. When there are so many sections, but they all feel the same, then a track is just being difficult to memorize because it wants to be difficult. But when each part feels different and fun in its own way, and it's still kind of difficult, you know, to give you a challenge, then that's the city track format at its best. Also, there's a secret glider long cut where you can get coins. There's no reason to go here, but I'm glad it exists.
Why? That's cool. That is really cool.
We actually have seen funny Easter eggs like this in previous tracks, like on London Loop, where you can just kind of go into this section on the wall and it doesn't really make sense at all because that's not a shortcut. There's no reason to be there, but I'm glad these little Easter eggs actually make some sort of sense in the newer tracks.
Okay. Blue Lake. Please tell me this is goated. Oops. Easily a goated track. I'm biased. My goat. Let's go. I'm biased. This track is amazing.
Good. For a track that spends
I feel like it's definitely a great front runner track. I don't think it's a good backing track at all, but let's see what he says.
A lot of the time being flat and brown on a dark background, it is amazing that the track feels this good to play on. Honestly, this is a bit of a track design hack, but I think it works unbelievably well, and Nintendo should definitely do this more. See this part where the track changes elevation? About half of the track is like this. It just slants up or slants down for no reason in particular. But this makes each section distinct, and even as someone who has played on Boo Lake hundreds of times, this still tricks my brain into thinking the track is way more interesting than it probably is.
I agree with that.
Especially for new players, this sort of design helps to make each section feel distinct and makes the layout easier to memorize. It's a win for everyone. I call this the GBA Mario Circuit effect. Such a simple track has no right being as fun as it is, but I think part of what makes this track so memorable is just that part of it is elevated for no reason at all. Love it. Boo Lake also has a really fun shroomless shortcut. It's not that much faster than going around, but it doesn't have to be. It's just fun to take, so I'm going to take it every single time. The ending section is also quite fun, as you can take the railing to get considerably less airtime. It's really tough, and you're going to fall off a lot before you master it, but often this is the difference between getting hit or staying safe. It's basically a shortcut. I feel like Boo Lake should not have been this good, but with the GBA Mario Circuit effect, plus 2 very fun sections on the track, I think that's honestly all it takes to make me really like a track. I know it doesn't make that much sense, but when it comes to Mario Kart, I don't mind letting my monkey brain do the thinking.
Well said, Shortcat. Well said. Oops, a little too early. Mute City. Mute City. I think it's a go-to track, right? I do like Big Blue better, of course. Mute City's down here and very good. Okay.
Speaking of slanting a track for no reason and having most of the track not actually be that fun, ladies and gentlemen, Mute City. Okay, if it was just that, Mute City would be way below Boo Lake. But you know why this track is great. We have absolutely one of the most epic and intense soundtracks in the game on one of the most beautiful tracks in the game. There was so much love put into the design of the track and the background, and this is a perfect use of the anti-gravity mechanic, because everywhere you look, it's a cinematic experience. And on top of that, this track just feels so fast to play, especially on 200cc. In fact, on 200cc, the only section that you could argue is kind of slow, where the turns are not very sharp, it makes these turns feel sharp because it's actually hard to do this section. I also love that there are no coins on the track, but instead, all you have to do to get 10 coins is stay on the purple panels for a bit. And you don't really have to go far out of your way to do this. The track really wants to make sure you're always moving as fast as possible, as you would in the F-Zero games. To add to this feeling, the first off-road shortcut is such a sharp turn with so little room afterwards and you can hardly see where you're going that it's actually difficult to stay on the track. The one sharp turn on this track makes you feel like you're losing control, and it's a thrill. Then we have the ending shortcut, which you can take with a mushroom and then hold down to float over the rest of the track. You're not going that fast here, but it feels so fast. In fact, you could even take this without a mushroom, which I somehow feel like was not intended, as it's a super finicky one, but it is doable, and it's one of the toughest shroomless shortcuts in the game. This track would rank higher for me if it spent more time, being an interesting driving experience, because a lot of it is really just boost panels and it's not that interesting, but it more than makes up for it by nailing that F-Zero feel and being such a unique track. Honestly, it's such a crime that Nintendo put so much love into Captain Falcon's track without actually adding him into the game. And come on, this Mii suit, this doesn't cut it.
That is fair and disrespectful. I agree. He never made it, but Link made it? Now that's crazy. Okay. Dragon Driftway. Where would I put this level? Dragon Driftway. I feel like it's in good enough. It could be mid. It's definitely not mid. Is it golden? No, I feel like it's in very good somewhere, right? Yeah. Okay, it's right here. Okay, that's a fair spot.
Dragon Driftway was always just an okay track for me. The theme is fun, and the music, I think, goes really well with it, but I'm just personally not a huge fan of either of these. But one day, I pretty much had my entire opinion on Dragon Driftway flipped upside down because of one thing: the gap jump shortcut. This shortcut is genuinely risky to go for. It's extremely difficult, and it's one of the most rewarding and fun shortcuts in the entire game. And first of all, I just want to say that it's so surprising that this is even possible, but you can truly do this with any combo. It's just really tough sometimes. And on 200cc, you don't even need to hop, which is just insane to me. And okay, for the rest of the track, it's just kind of alright. I enjoy charging several orange and purple mini turbos, and also getting the triple trick near the end, but that's about it. I spend almost all of my time on this track drooling, thinking about how good it's gonna feel to gap jump again.
Damn, that is tough.
Wario Stadium.
Wow, Wario Stadium trumps pinball. Is that true? No, I feel like it's mid to me. Yeah, I kind of feel it being mid.
Yeah. If you watch
All
a
right,
lot
let's see
of
what he says.
high-level competitive Mario Kart, you're probably sick of this track. It's definitely one of the most popular tracks in competitive Mario Kart, and for a good reason. It's a really, really good front-running track, and comebacks are insanely difficult. But if we ignore that for a moment, Wario Stadium is a really fun track where the amount of tech goes insane. You can do so many tricks on this track, but it's actually faster to almost never trick if you know what you're doing. Now, obviously, I'm not going to explain all the tech here, but just know that there is a lot, it's really fun, and it's really precise. It was also a great change to put water at the end of the track. This was not at all what the original version looked like, but this changes the optimal technique here from tricking into drifting, which is just a more interactive way to play in my opinion. And you can take this section differently depending on whether or not you have a mushroom for the shortcut. Time trialing Wario Stadium is always a thrill, and it's
Wow,
really
that's
tough to
smart.
get a full run with no mistakes for all three
I never
laps.
thought about doing
And
that.
even at a lower level, without all that tech, this track is still difficult in all the right ways. I remember one of my favorite tracks to play when I first started playing 200cc was Wario Stadium, because it just felt like a very difficult yet fair challenge. And the better you get at this track, the more fun it becomes, as it really rewards fast driving by letting you stay in first. And I don't even need to say it after Waluigi Pinball, but the music on this track is just so good. Rainbow
The fact that this Rainbow Road is better, or he ranks it lower or higher than the other one, is insane. Now, I think this is like mid. Yeah, mid. I can already tell you right now it's mid.
Road, also known as Wii U Rainbow Road, is just such a fun track. I've definitely heard a lot of people say that this track is just alright and that it's not a great Rainbow Road track, but I personally disagree. I guess the space station section is a bit strange, but after decades of Rainbow Roads, I really don't mind the theme changing up a bit to not just be a rainbow the whole time. There's only so much you can do with that. And as for what I like about this track, for starters, the music here is one of the best in the game. Actually, if you go back and watch some of my scripted videos, you know, the ones that are guides and not gameplay, you can get a feel for which music I like the most in the game. And Wii U Rainbow Road is a song that I've used a lot. It really gives a feeling of finality and success, which is perfect for a Rainbow Road theme. I also love that this is one of the most difficult Rainbow Road tracks pretty much in all of Mario Kart history. There are not many tracks in the game where it's actually faster to brake drift on 150cc because the turn is too sharp to be taken at full speed, and that happens twice on this track. Imagine slowing down. That's not in the spirit of a racing game. And if we're talking about 200cc, I guarantee you are lying if you try to tell me that you have never fallen off trying to do the beginning section, only to take it again, thinking you know what's coming, and then just falling off again.
Yeah,
And
he's
if
right.
you ever
He's
go
right.
watch the 200cc world record, you'll know. You don't just suck at the game. This section was actually designed to just barely be possible. Another highlight of this track is the path switch shortcut. Because Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is so polished and Lakitu tends to pick you up whenever you try to do stuff like this, it's really exciting to see techniques like this in the game. And honestly, I wish there were more of this on other tracks. For me, the only huge flaw on this track is the cannon glider. Because of how this game factors in your distance to first place when it calculates your item probabilities, you can get really stupid items here. Like, you can get the bullet bill in fourth, kind of stupid. This was definitely an unintentional side effect of having this sort of item system, and I don't blame the track for having this, but it is a thing, and it's hard to ignore when you're playing real races. I mean, it's fun when I get these items, but then it's not fun when everyone else gets these items and I lose. It definitely makes the races a lot more volatile than I think they should be, and not in a very healthy way in my opinion, because a lot of it just comes down to luck at one item set. But for me, this is definitely one of the most memorable Rainbow Roads.
That's
in Mario
crazy
Kart,
how he
so
just
it
did that.
absolutely deserves this spot.
Wow.
I love the theme on DK Jungle. There are several different sections that look like they're leading you to finding the treasure buried.
All right, DK Jungle. Good enough. I think this track is a lot better than what I'm giving it credit for, but
In
good.
ancient ruins deep in the jungle. And in the end, that treasure is you get to take a shroomless shortcut with the friends you made along the way. Love it. This track seems really simple at first, but it's surprisingly technical once you dig deep. It starts off with a super bounce, which is basically a shortcut when you consider how much time this saves, and then there's the jungle section, where you can either go around for coins or take this shortcut in two different ways. There's the shroomless version, where you just drift onto the glider panel, or the mushroom version, where you can take the grass instead and get a purple mini turbo. Then we have the mini turbo air hop on the boost panels, and then the final shortcut. This section can get a bit toxic because of how easy it is to get hit, and then if you get hit, you'll probably fall off the shortcut. It's really rough here, but you do get a choice to go around, so I like that there is a safer route. Plus, the 3 coins here actually give you a good reason to take it a lot of the time. So overall, DK Jungle is a pretty fun track with lots of tech for you to learn.
I can get behind that. I can get behind that. Like, yo, I feel like we went through so many levels and there's still so many left. The heck? Sky Garden being as high is kind of interesting. But I also put it in very good, so.
All right, Sky Garden. Let's
We're gonna make Sky Garden the last one for today. I think we got through a lot of it, but we still got another hour and a half to go. So I think we'll finish up the rest of this video next time I decide to watch it.
Let's first make one thing clear. This is not my favorite version of Sky Garden. I guess there's only 2 versions of Sky Garden, so you could say this is my least favorite version of Sky Garden. I'd argue that this is just not Sky Garden. The original Sky Garden was completely different, both in feel and in the layout of the track. And it was always one of my favorite tracks. But with that being said, this version of the track is still pretty great. I like to compare tracks to their past versions because it is a way that we can see what sorts of things do and don't work when it comes to designing a track, and I like to highlight the creativity that goes into recreating a track for a different game. However, I'm not going to rank a track lower just because they made it worse than the previous version. I try my best to take each track at face value and only rank it in comparison to the other tracks that we have in this game. So if they remade the original Sky Garden, maybe I'd rank it higher than this. Or I don't know, maybe it would play worse in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe for some reason and I'd actually rank it lower. We don't know because we don't have that track in this game. So that track is irrelevant. I just wanted to point out that I really wished we got that track in this game instead. But this version of Sky Garden is definitely still a great track. The music is iconic, it's very fun to drive at every single section, and there are plenty of fun shortcuts, which are all actually not that easy. The biggest shortcut on this track is on the final turn, where you can even take it without a mushroom. I am 100% sure this was intentional, as the off-road here gives you a really weird bounce as you enter it, which means you actually touch less off-road than you'd expect as you drift in. And if you've seen the world record, somehow it's even possible to take the other shortcut shroomless. This is bonkers and completely not practical in a real race, but I love that this is possible. I remember when this track first came out, I tried for hours to get this shortcut to work, and I could not make it faster than just going around. I love when Nintendo puts stuff in the game that is just almost possible and often is possible, and that encourages us to explore and have fun with the game in our own ways. And I'm sure lots of people had the idea of taking this shortcut, but no one was really good enough to make it work until years after the track came out, when the pro players were finally able to do it. Now, the main thing I dislike about this track is how the ending plays in a real race. It's really cramped, with items flying everywhere, and then everyone squishes into the shortcut at the same time. Then if you get hit off the glider, you actually just lose. It can be funny and make for exciting and hilarious endings, but it's also just a mindless bloodbath, and it does feel kind of luck-based. But overall, the track is so fun that I don't mind this part too much. And fun fact, you can actually see multiple cloud-top cruise ships in the background. This is such a fun detail, since the clouds and big leaves are very reminiscent of Cloud-Top Cruise. And honestly, I wish Nintendo retroactively added Sky Garden into the background of Cloud-Top Cruise and gaslit us into thinking that it was just there the whole time and we didn't notice.
All right, so this is a good track to stop on right here. So, all right, guys. Well, we did get through a lot of chunk of it. We did watch, I want to say, about an hour. Yeah, about an hour and a half of it. So the remaining part will be like the other hour and a half. So, all right. Well, that's going to be it for today. I'm going to probably end up grabbing me some food. I'm going to make something before I go to bed. And yeah, go from there. I probably won't be live tomorrow because I'll be probably hosting for a little bit. And then I'm going to head to the gym afterwards. So yeah, I'm going to be doing that instead. Friday, I don't know what I'm doing on Friday. I could go to locals. I could stream, but it will probably most likely be a Yu-Gi-Oh stream. So yeah, we'll go from there and see what that does. But all right, guys, I'm going to be done watching this for right now. I'll probably end up watching this in the full on either Monday or Wednesday of next week. Or if anything, I might watch it on Sunday, just depending on how the schedule lines up. But yeah, for now, I think I am Gucci on watching this for right now. I like watching long-winded videos and stuff like that, but I'm not like, you know what I'm saying? So like, I can't just watch a video the entire time streaming. So, but yeah, we got through a big chunk of it, and I'm looking forward to finishing this. It's interesting, just hard to sit through for a very long period of time. So, all right, guys, I'm out. Have a great rest of your night. I'll catch you guys in the next stream, whenever that might happen. I'll definitely message to let you guys know if I'm streaming tomorrow or not. But for now, I am off. See you guys in the next one. Peace.